בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה, ברוכים הבאים, ברוך הבאנו עצמנו, that we're here. And Zot Hashem, this is, I know for most people that have been watching the shiurim online for the last couple of years, it's not much of a difference. You see me with this background or a different background. But for people that are used to watching me live, this is the first time in almost 2 years that we're doing a shiur with a live audience for a lot of different reasons. One of them is the fact that we're planning on starting a place, which B'ezrat Hashem is still going to happen. But the other one is just because we're tired of the politics that happen in so many Batei Knesset that we decided it's just not it's not worth the headache to deal with. But Baruch Hashem, Rav Pinchasov that has invited me several times already, but each time there's something came up, or I couldn't do it, or sometimes just didn't want to do it. This invitation, we figured it's time to say yes, and B'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach. So anybody that came, if you didn't get a bag, a Kiruv bag, there's the girls are giving them outside. You guys can, after the shiur, go ahead and get yourself one if you didn't get one. Each one of the bags, Baruch Hashem, has some nice things in it. We have some USB, CDs, some all types of cards. Baruch Hashem, we are a little bit different than other organizations, where in other organizations, if you want to invite a rabbi, especially if it's a popular rabbi, and typically the rabbi is going to ask for a nice price. 1,000, 5,000, 15,000, 50,000, depends where and when. Our organization, we don't ask for money, we give money. Why? Because we know that we only have one job. Our job is to give you chizuk, meaning, if you come here and leave the same as you started, I failed. If you come here one way and you leave the same exact way, it doesn't matter if you're not religious and you leave not religious, or you're frum already and you leave frum, if you didn't change in a positive way, I completely wasted my time and money. Meaning that the only goal that I come to any place, anytime I do any shiur whatsoever, is simply to help people get to the truth. Help people get to the truth, help people understand what's the point of life. Baruch Hashem, I went on my own personal journey to discover the truth, and still going on that journey. And I know, and I know that in order to discover the truth, you have to fight the biggest enemy of all, which is the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara's only job in life is to fight, to fight me. Not in a sense that he's happy if you fail, but he has to be the resistance. He has to be resistance. So the resistance is, you have a shiur Torah, oh, Rabbi Reuven's coming, but all of a sudden your friend that you haven't heard of in 5 years calls you, you want to come to my house and watch a soccer game? Oh, you're not going to come to the Brit Milah? You have Brit Milah at night? Yeah, at night, in the morning, whenever the shiur is, that's when we have the Brit Milah suddenly. Whatever the shiur is, we're waiting. You getting married? Oh, listen, maybe we'll find somebody, we'll get married. That's the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara is going to constantly get in the way of the truth. So the goal for our organization is to make sure we do everything possible to fight as much of your Yetzer Hara as we possibly can. I can't fight all of your Yetzer Hara, but I can fight some of it. One of the things that people like to talk about is, oh, listen, all of these rabbis, they only do it for money. So, Baruch Hashem, we solved that problem. We don't ask for any money. You're not going to have anybody asking you for money during the lecture. You're not going to have anybody asking you for money at the end of the lecture. You want to donate? Baruch haba. You don't want to donate? Gam Baruch haba. It doesn't make a difference to us. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays the bills. That's the most beautiful part of all of it. Why? Because I want to make sure that if you're coming here, you realize I don't have any agenda. Now, if I have an agenda, that means that you don't have to listen to me. You say, listen, he's only saying that because I'm paying him. He's only saying that because that's more profitable. He's only saying that because of this and that. Once you know I really have no reason whatsoever in the world to come here other than to help you, then perhaps you take my words a little more seriously. And Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends all types of wonderful people to help us. Baruch today, we have a couple of fantastic people that have sponsored the lecture in addition to the regular people that help us. So the shiur will be for Ilui Nishmat Rivka Bat Mas'uda, and also for the Atzlacha Rabbah for Israel ben Gavriel and his dear wife Mazal ben Nachat, Eitan ben Mazal, their kids, Nathaniel ben Mazal and Gavriel ben Mazal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yivarech otam b'kol mikol kol, chaim arukim, shlemim, meleim Torah, mitzvot, gemilut chasadim, nachat ubracha. And also the shiur will be for the regular list that we have of people that continue to help us and invest into our Torah and our mitzvot and everything that we try to do for Am Yisrael. Now, Baruch Hashem, over the last couple of years, even though I haven't done shiurim with a live audience, a lot of things have changed for anybody that's been following. Over the last 2 years, Baruch Hashem, the organization has grown tremendously. In the last 12 months, or from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, Baruch Hashem, the organization fed 25,000 people in Eretz Yisrael to the people that simply can't afford to finish the week. In America, it's not so common to see people that can't afford to have food for Shabbat. But in Israel, unfortunately, there's at least 1 million kids going to sleep hungry every day. And many of those people are religious people. Many of them are non-religious people. And the government doesn't really care so much. They care about giving $53 billion to the Nazis or Palestinians, whatever you want to call them. They give them $53 billion. But to give to the Jewish people any money, chas v'shalom. Opposite. Instead of the average avrech that studies Torah 12, 15 hours a day, the government give him $200 a month. Now it's $50. And they're still complaining. They're still complaining. Well, it's 15 hours a day they study. They want $50. It's already too much. But the Palestinians that are going to use the money to go throw rockets, $53 billion. This is unfortunately the world of lies, and that's what we have to. So each person has to take a responsibility. What can I contribute? And Baruch Hashem, since we have a very big voice, we try to reach the people and help the people that we can. Aside from that, we also opened a Kolel Dayanut in Eretz Yisrael. We have right now, we had 6 Avrechim as of last week. As of this week, we have 31 Avrechim. Baruch Hashem, each Avrech is on the way to become a Dayan Be'ezrat Hashem. Some of them are very close. One of them actually took the test last week. So Baruch Hashem, each one is going. So the Torah continues. And aside from that, we also have our girls' seminary that now has about 400 girls. So, Baruch Hashem, a lot of stuff is going. But the thing that breaks my heart always is that there's not enough on the ground here in Florida. Not enough on the ground here in Florida. And this is really the only reason I'm in Florida. Quite frankly, I can't stand Florida. I think it's more like Gehenom. It's so hot. But it's hot, it's ugly, but I'm here. Why am I here? Apparently because of you. That's why I'm here. I have really no other reason to be here. But so that means that we have to do more. So that's what we're trying to do. Now the question is, how can we do more? How can we do more if people don't know that they need help? Now if you have a doctor's office and people come to the doctor, the first thing you know about the patient before you know what's wrong with them is that the patient knows he's sick. He's not going to come to the doctor unless he knows he's sick. The problem with the Jewish people, whether they're religious or not religious, they don't know they're sick. You talk to a person that's not religious, like I did earlier today. I explained to him that he's sick. He said, no, well, there's nothing wrong with my life. I said, how about your marriage? Oh no, my wife's filing a divorce. I said, okay, what about your kids? Oh, I haven't talked to them in 2 years. Okay, so you're doing good. Yeah, everything's great. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. What about your job? Making a lot of money? No, actually, my job just told me they're laying me off. I said, Baruch Hashem, you're doing great. Wow, Alvaya, I don't know, all the enemies that we have. I mean, how are you doing great exactly? People live a lie. They live an illusion. They don't realize they're sick. And then, chas v'shalom, you talk to a frum person. Talk to a religious person, they think that they're Moshe Rabbeinu just came down from Mount Sinai. No, Rabbi, the shiurim, it's for people that are Baalei Tshuva, right? I said, it's really for people that have ears. If you have ears, you qualify. You don't even need to have a mouth. Ears is usually better. And sometimes you talk to certain people and they tell you, Rabbi, I never heard this before in my life. I went to kollel my whole life. I went to yeshiva my whole life. How come I never heard these things? So, there are some people that have the antenna tuned the right way and they know that they're sick, they just don't know what the cure is yet. And there's some people that honestly don't know what they're sick. I'll tell you the truth, Rabotai, we're all sick. We just don't, each one of us has to diagnose ourselves based on what the words of the Torah is saying. Now, one of the most common things that are happening right now, not just in the world, but in Am Yisrael, is the whole matzav of girushin. There is an enormous amount of divorces happening all over the world. In the United States, where they call high society, divorce rate is over 80%. Meaning, you have a better chance of getting hit by a plane in the face than actually surviving a marriage past 5 years. That's how bad the situation is in America. It's almost better to just say, listen, how about we pretend we got married and then we'll just say, give each other a high five and then call it a day. What? Because most chances you're not going to survive. Most chances you're not going to survive. That's a secular world. Now until the last, let's say 10, 15 years, the religious world didn't really have much of this problem. Of course, divorces happen from time to time, but not like what we have today. Today it's mamash a tragedy. You're almost seeing, sometimes in certain communities, you're seeing as much divorce in religious families as you see in non-religious families for the same exact issues. A woman comes to me and says, listen, Rabbi, we're having marriage problems. I said, okay, what's the marriage problems? My husband doesn't trust me. And I have a lot of things against him. He's not good. He's not this. He's not that. He's not. And an hour and a half of complaints about him. I said, okay, fine. After she finishes, she ran out of steam. I said, so why doesn't he trust you if he's such a bad guy? Oh, because I cheated on him a couple of times. Ribono shel olam. You cheated on him a couple of times and you want him to trust you? People don't understand that they're sick. They don't understand that they're sick. They really do not understand that they are the problem. We are the problem. The problem is the person that you see in the mirror. Once a person identifies the problem, that's already 50% of the cure. It's already 50% of the cure. But we have, Rabotai, a school for flying. As Rav Yagen Alav Shalom used to say, school for flying, you go, attend 2 years, you know how to fly. Now, is it hard to fly? Today it's probably easier. Why? You have all the technology, everything is advanced. It's not so hard. But you still need to go 2 years of training to fly. How often are you going to fly? Who knows? Maybe you're going to be a pilot and fly every day. Maybe you're going to be somebody that goes maybe once every 6 months. But either way, you have to go to school for 2 years. If you want to be a doctor, you have to go to school for 6, 8 years, depending on what kind of medicine you're going to practice. You want to be an architect? Same thing. You want to be a lawyer? Same thing. What about if you want to be a husband? How long do you have to go to school for? Forever. What kind of school do people go to become a husband? There is no school. What about a wife? Somebody wants to be a wife. I want to be a good wife. I want to go to school for wives. The best case scenario, you're going to get a Kala class for 3.5 weeks. You're supposed to learn how to be a wife in a month. Now, is it more difficult to be a wife or to be a pilot? Before you answer, ladies, I'm going to see the statistics. How many, Bar Minan, how many plane crashes have you heard about this week? Nothing. What about last week? Nothing. 6 months ago, maybe 1 or 2 here and there, and they make a whole big deal out of it. Oh, 80 people died in Taiwan because of the... twice a year. That's it. How many flights are there? Millions of flights. Millions of flights. 2 crashes, let's say. Divorces, it's like cockroaches. The courthouses can't get enough business. So from there we see, to be a wife, to be a husband, has to be much more difficult than flying. So how come to fly we go to school for 2 years, to be a doctor we go to school for 8 years, to be a lawyer we go to school for same thing, but to be a husband or a wife, maybe a month. Whenever you get a chance, if you could afford it, maybe your brother can do it for you. Package deal, 2 for 1. Hence the reason, Rabotai, why there is so much divorce. Most people do not know how to be a spouse. They don't know how to be a spouse. So how do we learn how to be a spouse? First and foremost, we have to learn the halacha. Halacha pshuta. What does the Torah say is my obligation? Because we see that there's all types of Shalom Bayit issues in the world. So it must be that this is in the Torah also. B'siyata dishmaya, Kadosh Baruch Hu makes us look smart once in a while, and He puts it in the weekly parasha every week. This week's parasha, we have Parashat Chaye Sarah. Parashat Chaye Sarah, we learn in the beginning of the parasha, Sarah Imenu, Kodesh Kodashim, our mother dies. She goes to Gan Eden, she goes to Olam Haba, and she cries for us until this day. But aside from that, the Torah didn't really feel it so necessary for us to learn just about her death. We need to learn about her life. Where do we learn about her life? One of the ways is in the word lifkota. That Avraham Avinu, after Sarah Imenu left this world, he mourned Sarah, but only a little bit. Because the chaf is extra small. And Chachamim tell us the reason why the chaf in the word lifkota is extra small, unusually small in your Sefer Torah, is to show and to teach us that Avraham Avinu, he mourned her, but not so much. Not so much. Was she a bad wife? Chas v'shalom. Was she bad at all? Chas v'shalom. Can we even say anything bad about her? No. So how come Sarah Imenu, the most righteous person that ever lived, the most beautiful woman that ever lived, Avraham Avinu, our father, mourns her just a little bit. Why, he didn't miss her? You think you love your wife more than Avraham loved Sarah? You think that Sarah, maybe you're better than Sarah? Obviously no. So how come Avraham Avinu only mourned Sarah a little bit? It's a big question. Avraham is supposed to teach us everything. Brit Milah, we learn from Avraham Avinu. Everything about doing Kiruv, Avraham Avinu. The Zohar Kadosh says Avraham Avinu is the first Kiruv rabbi. First Kiruv rabbi. What did he do? Parashat Lech Lecha in the Zohar says Avraham Avinu would get people to come to his house and say, you want to pay for the bill? No problem. Or you could just say Birkat HaMazon. Birkat HaMazon, what's Birkat HaMazon? You have to thank the Creator that created you and the food and made a zivug between the two of you. Oh, do I have to? Oh, you can pay for it, but you have to pay for it a very, very big price. Oh, okay, I'll do this Birkat HaMazon. So what do I have to learn about this this Creator that I'm saying thank you to? Oh, you want to learn about the Creator? Oh, so the Creator says, if you believe in Him, you're going to have Olam Haba, the Zohar says. But the Zohar also says that Avraham Avinu, as a Kiruv rabbi, what does he have to do? He has to give chizuk, right? So how do you give people chizuk? You have to warn them about the danger. So the Zohar Kadosh says, Avraham Avinu says to his nice guests, listen, you said Birkat HaMazon, good for you. Why? Because if you didn't, you'd go to Gehenom. Let me tell you about Gehenom. And he gives him a whole shiur about Gehenom. Hashem Yishmor v'yatzil. He just met the guy. He just met the guy, he's given a whole shiur about Gehenom. That's how Avraham Avinu did Kiruv. Mamash in the Zohar Kadosh says. So now there's Avraham Avinu, this Kodesh Kodashim. He obviously loves his wife. Obviously he's a tzaddik. How come he's only mourning his wife, he's only crying over his wife a little bit? So if we remember, in Parashat Lech Lecha, there was a little bit of an argument. There was a little bit of an argument between Avraham Avinu and Sarah. Sarah was upset that as soon as Avraham married Hagar as a second wife, right away he had a baby, and she said, maybe it's because when you were praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to give a baby, to bring your child, you only praying for yourself. You didn't even pray for me. Look, it's a Zachariah, I have a proof. You right away, you have a woman, you have a new wife, you have a new baby. So you didn't even pray for me. Hashem will judge you and me. That's the whole argument. Alvai alenu to have such arguments. That's the whole argument. Today, people's argument, chairs, tables, police, Hashem Yishmor v'yatzil. Every time there's an argument, the neighbors already have a special headphones. Oh, you put the special headphones on. Why, honey? Oh, the neighbors. Oh, okay, the special headphones. Why the neighbors will keep arguing? So Avraham Avinu has a tiny little argument with his wife. His wife thought maybe her husband didn't pray for her. And she says a couple of extra words. What's that? May Hashem judge you and me. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Sarah Imenu, since you already talked, and you said you want me to judge Avraham, let me judge you. Let me judge you first. Let me look at your own cheshbon first. And when he looked at her cheshbon, he decided to take some years out of her life. And if the Zohar didn't say this, I wouldn't even be allowed to tell you. The Zohar says that the reason why Avraham Avinu did not cry so much about Sarah is because you're not allowed to mourn somebody that commits suicide. Why somebody commits suicide? You are asking a Kadosh Baruch Hu to judge you. By asking Hashem to judge me, the husband, you're asking Hashem to judge you. You think you're so clean? You think your cheshbon is so clean that you're okay with Hashem judging you? That's a committing suicide. So Avraham Avinu says, I can't mourn her completely. Why? She's like, what she did is like almost like suicide. Mamash. Now, the average argument, Rabotai, today, everybody judges everybody. And not only that, she remembers every single thing that you ever did since kindergarten before you knew her. Everything you ever did, she remembers. Oh, you remember you looked at that girl? Who? Yo, no, that girl. No, I don't know. What? You remember you told me that when you were 15, you looked at the waitress? Yeah, but I didn't know you then. Yeah, but maybe you like this waitress too? What are you talking about? I just told you to share something that happened in my life. And oh, she remembers everything. And him? Oh, he's like the kategol. What's the kategol? Honey, this is it? Yeah, honey, I worked all day to make the Shulchan Shabbat. Everything is here, everything is great. Why, you don't like the food? No, I haven't tasted the food yet. What you don't like it? No, I haven't tasted it. I don't know if I like it. What's wrong? I don't know. I mean, there's no hummus on the table. 15 salads on the table, but he notices there's no hummus. Kategor. He can't look at anything good. Forgot to say thank you. Forgot to say thank you, kiss her head, thank you for cooking for me bichlal, thank you for even being with me bichlal. Forgot completely. He doesn't even realize that he's supposed to do this. What do you mean? She's my wife. Why is she has to eat also? She has to eat also. Why is she going to cook? What? What's the big deal? Ma. This, Rabotai, is the root of the problem. We don't know how to be husbands. We don't know how to be wives. So some of the things I'm going to say are probably going to annoy you, but it's 100% emet. And the whole goal is to help you. If you're married, this will help your marriage. If you listen. If you're not married, this will make you a very good husband or wife. The whole goal is to tell you what the Torah Kedusha tells us of how to be husbands and wives, and the warning of what happens if we don't. Now, when you ask an average person, what do you think of yourself? Average person says they're good. No one really thinks that they're bad. Even Hitler, he thought he was perfectly good. He thought that he was helping society by getting rid of the Jewish problem. That's how he called it. That's how, until this day, 70 years after they murdered 6 million of us, they still call us the Jewish problem, by the way. It's still an acceptable term. Like, people are so focused on anti-Semitism and all types of other mumbo-jumbo, they forgot that the world still considers us a problem. The Jewish problem. So that's what Hitler, Yimach Shemo, thought he was solving the Jewish problem by getting rid of the Jews. Now, he tried to sell some of the Jews, but the Zionists, Yimach Shemam, didn't want the Jews that he wanted to sell. He wanted to sell 1 million Jews for a bunch of trucks, tea and coffee. The Zionists said, what kind of Jews you want to sell us? What? Those ones that they're poor, they're not really sophisticated, they're uneducated? No, we don't want those kind of Jews. You can kill them. And it's a true story. There's countless books about it you could read. One of them that I've read recently, it's called Perfidy, and there's many other books about this. It's not some rumor or something. It's 100% true. There's court cases over it and so on. Meaning that the Zionists were not very different than the Nazis. They both had the same agenda, just different armies. But the key is to understand that both of them thought they were 100% good. Why? Because they defined good based on their own conditions, which is not really different than us. We define good by what? You ask a guy, what makes you good? I don't kill anybody. Okay, Chazaku Baruch, you're not a murderer. But what makes you good? I try not to lie. You try. Okay, psedil, so maybe you're not a liar, or at least not a compulsive liar, psedil. But what makes you good though? Good is not by what you don't do. What do you do that's good? Well, listen, I haven't murdered anybody. I haven't stolen anything recently. Oh, okay, so you're not a thief either. Okay, we have 3 things you don't do. But what makes you good? Ribono shel Olam, please tell me what makes you good. Average person can't tell you. Oh, well, you know what? Actually, last week there was some homeless guy next to the shul. I gave him $5. So your whole life of 40 years on this planet is defined by the $5 you gave some homeless guy? You make $300,000 a year, you gave some guy $5? That makes you good for 50 years? No, I do it more often than that. How often? Oh, once a month. So once a month you give somebody $5 or $100 or $500, and that's what you think makes you good? Average person does not know the definition of what makes a person good. Why? Because good means you do good, not that you don't do good. David HaMelech says in Tehillim, Sur mira ve'aseh tov. Run away from evil and do good. Most people, you ask them, what makes you good? They can tell you about all the things they don't do wrong. But once it comes to what do you do that's good, not everybody has the right answer. Because most people don't necessarily think that you need to do good in order to be good. Same concept with marriage. What makes you a good husband? What makes you a good wife? Not everybody's going to have the right answers, because most people don't necessarily think that these good things are a prerequisite in order to be a good husband. Now he figures, listen, if I make sure she has a roof over her head and I don't kill her, I'm a good husband. Okay, qualifies as not a killer, qualifies for one of the conditions of the ketubah, but doesn't necessarily make you a good husband. In order to be a good husband, you have to do good. Same concept with the wife. Wife says, listen, I cook for him, and that's it. Usually when he comes home, I tell my girlfriend that I can't talk anymore, I have to go talk to him. Okay, so that makes you a wife that lives in the same house as him, but not so much more than that. To do good, you have to do good. And that's one of the things Chazal teach us, where if we understand the magnitude of some of these things, then we understand why good is important. Now most people say, I'm scared of doing bad things. Why? Because if I do bad things, I'll get punished for them. Right? So the Torah tells us there's 36 places in 36 sins that a person can make. That's Isur Karet. The Zohar says there's 48. But nonetheless, there's 36 that everybody agrees on. 36 things that a person does that Hashem Yishmo cuts himself away from the connection from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Most people that watch my shiurim, they're petrified of these 36 things. But I'll tell you a secret. Most people don't realize that just because those 36 are karet, there's a lot of other things that are also death penalty, but they're not karet. Most people don't realize that the magnitude of the crime is not necessarily always defined by karet. Out of the 36 sins that we have that are karet, only 2 of them are positive mitzvot. Mitzvat Pesach and also Milah. Milah, Brit Milah. These are positive mitzvot, where if a person does not fulfill those mitzvot, it's Isur Karet. The other 34 is don't do. Don't violate Shabbat, don't eat on Yom Kippur, and so on and so forth. But these positive mitzvot are the only 2 positive mitzvot that if a person commits them, it's the worst thing in the world. So now a person will think, oh, so as long as I have a Brit Milah, and I have Pesach, and I don't violate Shabbat, that's it, I'm going to Gan Eden. Not so fast. Why not so fast? Because the Chachamim teach us in Masechet Ketubot and also in Masechet Yevamot that on a mitzvah that's a positive mitzvah, any positive mitzvah, if a person doesn't want to fulfill it, the punishment is that the Beit Din hits him until he dies. Meaning that if a person does not want to shake the lulav, tell me, lulav, shake. No, not for me. Shake, no, not for me. I'm not that religious. Beseder, religious, not religious. Yalla, shake. No, I don't want to shake. Put on tefillin. I don't want tefillin. Yeah, but the Gemara says somebody doesn't lay tefillin, has no share of the world to come, goes to Gehinom, scary stuff. Beseder, for you people, you guys are fanatics, I don't want. What does a Beit Din do? We tried, nice way. Sent you some Chabadnik to tell you put the tefillin, you didn't want. Sent you Yaron Reuven to give you love, you didn't want. Sent you Rav Pinchasov to give it you on the head, you didn't want. You didn't want nothing. Okay, beseder, we have a different solution. Yalla, tie him up, trach. How many trachs? Until he dies. For every single positive mitzvah, or until he does tshuva. When is he going to do tshuva? Why is he getting hit? Why is he getting hit? Something extraordinary. The Rambam says in Ilchot Chametz U'Matzah, he says, we have a rabbinical enactment, a rabbinical mitzvah, not to eat matzah on Erev Pesach, in the morning of Pesach, before Pesach officially starts, Leil HaSeder and so on. During that afternoon, don't eat matzah. Don't eat matzah. It's not such a big deal. But what if the guy is fat like me and he wants to eat matzah? He likes matzah. And he says, listen, Rambam, I appreciate it, but I like matzah. I've been waiting for matzah the whole year. And he starts chomping up matzah. If the Bet Din is there, there's witnesses, what do? Stop eating the matzah. No, you guys are fanatics. I like matzah. Matzah with some chocolate, matzah with some riba. Matzah, I like matzah. What are you guys, crazy now? It's matzah. Yeah, but the rabbi said no. The rabbi said no. No, man, what are they going to do to me? Let us show you what they're going to do to you. The Rambam paskins la'alacha. They hit him until they kill him. For what? For eating matzah before he's supposed to. Positive mitzvah from the rabbis. Meaning it's not just a biblical mitzvot, it's not just karet, it's even rabbinical mitzvot. So a person that does not know the consequence of their actions does not understand that in Shamayim, the judges are very, very different than the judges over here. So how does this relate to us? Sometimes a woman, all she really wants is for her husband to say something nice. That's it. She says to the husband, honey, we've been married for 20 years. Say something, some warm words to me. Say something warm. He says to her, burn in hell. That's it. That's what you have. Tisarfi. That's the words that he has to have to her. She says, I don't understand. 20 years we've been married. That's all you have to say to me. Why can't you tell me you love me? I told you 20 years ago, if it would have changed, I would tell you again, but nothing changed. It's, everything's okay. He's so cheap with his words, he cannot say a single thing. He cannot say a single thing. He can't say anything positive. She cooks, she cleans, she works, she this, she that, she raises kids, whatever he wants, she does. Not a single word of positive things. Nothing. Can't say nothing, right? Almost like the words cost money. Almost like the words cost money. A baal like that, a husband like that, a dead animal on the street is better than him. Unfortunately, there are many husbands like this. They know how to complain, they know how to request, but they don't know how to give a good word. They don't know how to give a good word. And sometimes you think, listen, what, didn't I buy you that bracelet? I said, I didn't ask you for a bracelet. I asked you to say something nice. Said a nice bracelet, I don't know. If I was you, I would accept the bracelet and say it's okay. Like it's almost like it's impossible for him to say something nice. A husband like that is a terrible husband. And if a person does not know that this is a very, very critical condition, he's what's called a mikre avud, lost cause. Lost cause. Now the Chachamim say that if a person understands the obligation of fulfilling positive mitzvot and the condition of not fulfilling that positive mitzvah, you have something to do and you don't do it. And you think, oh, if I do it, it's good. If I don't do it, it's not a big deal. No. We just learned, if I do it, good. If I don't do it, it's the same exact punishment as if I violate Shabbat. That's death penalty. This is death penalty. And the Zohar says in Parashat Tazriah, just like there is a punishment for a sin like Lashon Hara, there's a punishment for good things. Meaning, for positive things that he could have talked about. He could have said something good to his wife, to his kids, to his boss, to his employees, to his rabbi maybe. Somebody could have said something good. He doesn't want to say something good. Doesn't want to say something good. There's a punishment for that. Even more so, the Zohar says, and continues, if the person sees that there are Jews that are violating the Torah, he sees Jews, Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil, driving to Beit Knesset on Shabbat. Baruch Hashem, the Keilah over here is very fortunate. Why? Because you have the Beit Knesset walking distance from your house. In Florida, it's not so common to have such a thing. I remember when I lived in Boca Raton, a tikkun that I had over there for about 2 years. I lived over there. Beit Knesset, like a small Bet Mikdash, giant Bet Knesset. Almost 1,000 people show up on Shabbat. Almost 1,000 people show up on Shabbat. Now I would agree with you, it's amazing until you find out that the parking lot is extremely active on Shabbat. Over 200 cars go in and out of the parking lot of the Beit Knesset on Shabbat. So I figured, oh, maybe it's the guys that are praying at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, they're all mechaleh Shabbat, they don't care, whatever. Let me go pray nets. Pray nets with the tzaddikim. You go 6 o'clock in the morning, get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yishtabach shimo, right? So, again, I'm so excited, I'm new in the community, I'm going to go pray at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not exactly such a morning person, because I go to sleep very late, but I say, okay, listen, so at least I don't have to see all these people driving in front of me on Shabbat, it's annoying to me. I have to say something, and I don't know anyone. It's a whole tikkun. I say, I'm going to go pray at 6 o'clock in the morning. Beseder. I wake up, everything is great, I'm excited, I go, and I see a car drive right past me, pull over right in front of me, go into the parking lot, the guy comes out of the car with his little talit bag, a kippah just as big as mine. Hey, good Shabbos! I said, Ribono shel Olam, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, why are you even going to shul? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. What's the point? I mean, if you don't care, you're like half reform, complete reform, okay, beseder. Why go to shul at 6 o'clock? People do not know. People mamash do not know the conditions. The guy is going, I had a student over there, 20 years, he's driving to shul every single Shabbat. I told him on the second shiur that we had, or first shiur, whenever it was, you're not allowed to drive on Shabbat. He said, yeah, but you're allowed to drive to shul though, right? I said, no, not even to shul. Not allowed to drive on Shabbat. He said, what do you mean? I drive to shul for 20 years. No one ever told me. Really, it's his obligation to know. But the Zohar Kadosh says, if you are a rabbi, or even if you are a normal Jew, that knows that someone is forbidden from doing something, and you see someone doing something wrong, you see somebody committing suicide spiritually, and he's driving on Shabbat, and you don't say something, HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges you as if you drove on Shabbat. And this is not just the Zohar. This is also the Gemara in multiple places, Masechet Shabbat, Masechet Avodah Zarah, Masechet Sanhedrin, and so many places. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Kol Israel Aravim ze lazeh. All of Am Yisrael are responsible for each other. So now, if a person understands there's an obligation to not do bad things, but there's also an obligation to do good things, this also applies to our marriage. This also applies to our marriage. And the Likutei Yehuda says, why do you think that there's the issues of Tumah and Tahara? Tumah and Tahara, impurity, it's the most sophisticated part of Judaism. We're not going to get too deep into it. But the Likutei Yehuda in page 18b says, why do you think there's a nega tahor? There's a nega tahor, which seems unusual. It says nega tahor, the tameh one is because of things that are forbidden, because it's asur, you're not allowed to do them. But the nega tahor is when someone violates the Torah with something that's permitted. What's something that's permitted? You're allowed to talk, but you chose not to. You saw somebody doing something wrong, and you chose not to say anything. You saw somebody violate Shabbat, you saw somebody doing embarrassing another Jew in public, all types of things, and you didn't say nothing. That's a nega tahor. That's a tzarat, that's a special tzarat, Hashem Yishmor. So a person that understands what the Zohar is saying, also understands that he has an obligation, she has an obligation to speak up. Speak up. What do you have to speak up? Good things. Good things. Now, what can I say that's good? What can I say that's good about your wife, your husband? Let's see. If you look at the people that don't understand anything about Torah on the internet, like the missionaries, these group of arurim named Eitan and Moti, that like to distort the Torah and make all types of videos that make the Torah look terrible, as if the Torah doesn't like women. So they'll misquote things. They'll say, look, the Gemara says all types of strange things about women. One, it says in Masechet Pesachim, page 111a, it's forbidden to walk between two goyim, two women, and it's treating women like two goyim. Now in reality, the rest of the Gemara also says you're not allowed to walk between two palm trees. So what, we don't like the palm trees either? It shows you that the Chachamim are teaching you this is something zgula. This is like a special condition. Don't walk between two goyim, don't walk between two women, and don't walk between two palm trees. Chazal is teaching you something that has nothing to do with not liking women. But the missionaries and the atheists and the haters of Torah, they're always going to remove the important parts. Or another Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says something mamash drives people crazy when they hear it and they don't know how to learn. Says, look at the woman. She's full of poop. She's full of blood. And the whole world chases her. So, average woman sees this. Honey, no more daf yomi shiurim for you. Don't go to Rabbi Pinchasov. Don't go to Rabbi Reuven. Go, no more. What? Women, that's how the Chachamim talk about women. Chas v'shalom. Why? Because she doesn't understand Gemara miskina. She doesn't understand Gemara. She says, why? That's how the Torah talks about women. And the missionaries celebrating over this. The atheists love this. The ignorant people are having a ball over such a Gemara. But in reality, we don't learn Gemara from just a single source. We don't learn any part of the Torah from a single source. Why? The Gemara itself says in Yerushalmi, says that the Gemara in one place it's poor, in another place it's rich. Meaning, in one place you're going to see one part of the lesson and it's going to seem like it's vague, you don't really understand. Why does it even say this? But in another place you're going to see a whole tractate over this thing and it explains the whole thing. Now you finally understand the picture. And when a person learns Torah the right way, he's never going to be missing any pieces of the puzzle. I'll give you an example. Somebody asked me a question just this week or last week about how is it that Avraham Avinu fed the angels milk and meat. When the Gemara says in Masechet Avodah Zarah that Avraham fulfilled the entire Torah, so much so that his Masechet Avodah Zarah was bigger than our entire Gemara. So how is it that Avraham Avinu that fulfilled the Torah, he fed the angels milk and meat? Where it says in the Torah 3 times don't eat milk and meat. He says, listen, on one hand I heard that Hashem actually rebuked the angels. The reason why I don't give you Torah is because you ate milk and meat. So obviously Hashem is not happy with it. Not happy that they eat milk and meat. On the other hand, we see that Avraham Avinu fed them milk and meat. So why he's mad at Avraham? It's confusing. So now, if you learn Torah that way, you're never going to get to any conclusion. But that's where you have to keep learning. And you're going to learn, as Zohar says, that Avraham Avinu, if you look at the verses themselves, Avraham Avinu is technically a Noahide, a Ben Noach. Why? Because Yahadut started at Mount Sinai. Even though he's the father of all of Am Yisrael, Judaism officially started at Mount Sinai. Before Mount Sinai, we weren't called Jews. We were called Hebrews, Israelites, we weren't called Jews. So Avraham Avinu, according to the Rambam and Poskim, was not allowed to keep Shabbat. A non-Jew that keeps Shabbat, like a Jew, chayav mitah. He's considered a thief, it's death penalty. So Avraham, obviously, that fulfilled the entire Torah, knew that he's not allowed to keep Shabbat. So what would he do? So the Zohar Kadosh says, he would take the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, and he would create a calf. You create something on Shabbat, you're not allowed to create on Shabbat, so you create a calf, take some putty, yalla, here a calf, no. There you go, that's what Avraham Avinu, that's how he's Mechalel Shabbat. On purpose, you have to violate Shabbat a little bit. That's how you violated Shabbat. So now, how does this have anything to do with everything I just said? If you look at the verses in the Torah, what does it say? What kind of calf did he give to the angels? He gave them the calf shu asa. Maze asa? Asa he made. He gave them the calf that he made. Meaning that Avraham Avinu, the Midrash and Me'am Loez and many other places says, he had a calf, the calf ran away, and he felt bad that the guests are waiting for him. They're waiting for him. Say, by the time I catch this calf, it's going to take a long time. You know what? Yalla, give me some putty, let's make a calf. Yalla, okay, yalla, shecht it, and let's eat some steaks. Now a calf that comes from a cow, you're not allowed to eat milk and meat. But a calf that you created, it's the same thing as, it's parv. You can do whatever you want with it. That's why Avraham Avinu was allowed to eat milk and meat and give it to the Malachim, milk and meat. And again, there's 1.5 million other things that you can learn about one single pasuk in the Torah. One single pasuk in the Torah and understand it. So how do we go to this Gemara when a woman says, listen honey, you go to Daf Yomi, Rav Pinchasov is teaching you, Yaron Reuven is teaching you, but they're teaching you what? Things that I'm full of this and full of that and all these bad things? No, Habibi, relax. Let's see. The Aruch HaShulchan comments on this Gemara. And he says, look at this. It's important for a person to understand that intimacy between a man and his wife was not created solely for the sake of desire, fulfilling a desire, but rather to reproduce. And the proof of that is seen that as soon as the seed leaves the man's body, the desire disappears. He can have all the desire in the world. The second the seed leaves his body, desire ends. Desire ends. So from here we see that the whole issue of intimacy is not really to fulfill a desire, because if it was just about desire, he would want to continue forever. It would never end. But as soon as the seed ends, obviously it fulfilled its mission. Once it's fulfilled its mission, that's it, finished. And what's the mission? Reproduction. Reproduction. So now, if the Aruch HaShulchan continues, now, once the seed accumulates again, the desire returns. And technically, according to nature, the whole issue should really be disgusting in the eyes of a man. Why? Because you see, the Gemara says, look, a woman is full of this, is full of that, and everybody chases her. It really doesn't make any sense. The average person thinks, why should you want to be with this? Like, it doesn't make any sense technically. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to show you, I am the one that's mezavek zivugim. I am the one that's going to decide what's good for you, what's bad for you. And because I want to show you this actively, normally, regularly, naturally, I'm going to make something distasteful the thing that you chase all the time. Now technically, if you really look at the Gemara, it says that a woman is full of poop, full of blood. In reality, so is a man. So how come it doesn't say a man is? Because it's trying to explain to you, look, something that to a normal person will think this shouldn't be something that I'm going to spend all my money on, all my energy on, all my efforts on. I shouldn't chase this. It doesn't make any sense. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no. I had to make it a desire for you to chase it, even though it's technically against logic, because there is a goal. What's the goal? Bring a baby to the world. That's the goal. The fact that it's fun, it's a bonus. That's a bonus. It's not the reason. Now, of course, are you allowed to be together with your wife and so on after you're not able to have babies? Absolutely. There's a mitzvat ona'ah. But the reality is, if a person is able to, they have to. And that's actually one of the things that people don't know about marriage, where they treat the issues between man and wife like it's purely animalistic. He wants to be, she wants to be, Hashem yishmor v'yasi. Mamash, disaster. There's nothing. If there's a baby, it's like usually like, oh, what, kaparat avonot, we're going to have another one, like, oh, how we're going to afford it. Like, instead of thinking we're going to bring another neshama to the world, another tzaddik, another tzaddikah, it's going to run around, drive us crazy, all types of great things. Ooh, Rabbi, listen, this whole thing about abortions, is it really not allowed? What do you mean, murder? Whatever, no, it's not murder, you don't really see him. The Baba Sali said to a woman and asked him, Rabbi, can I have an abortion? He said, let me ask. I'll ask you a question. How many kids you have? She said 4 kids. He says, bring them here. Oh, what? The Rav is going to give him a bracha? No, I'm going to kill them. And then you can kill the other one. He goes, no, Rabbi, I love my kids. So what's the difference between those kids and that kid? No, you can't see him. Okay, I can't see them. So what's the difference? People don't understand. Abortion is 100% murder. But if a person is only fulfilling a desire, if it's only a desire, then it's very easy. It's only a stone throw away to start looking at this kid as a annoying thing. As a, he's disturbing my desire. Why? Because now, because she's pregnant, I can't do this and I can't do that. And he starts looking at things purely from an animalistic standpoint. If a person looks at his wife as simply like a tool, he's not going to have a good marriage. Not going to have a good marriage. On the other hand, a woman that looks at a husband as an ATM machine also is not going to have a very good end. Why? Because sometimes life is a wheel. Rabbi Hanina says to his wife in the Gemara, Masechet Ta'anit, make sure you give a lot of money to poor people. She says, why? She says, in case our kids are poor, that Hashem will have mercy on them and send people to give them tzedakah also. So the wife of Rabbi Hanina says, what, you're cursing my kids? He goes, no, chas v'shalom, it's just that life is a galgal, life is a circle. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. If a wife only looks at the husband like an ATM machine and the market crashes, because that's what happens usually every 7 years, but as you would have it, the market hasn't crashed. And it's been 13 years, meaning it's bound to crash. Now you're going to say, oh no, listen, just because of this, just because of that, is another source. If you look at history over the last 120 years, almost every Shnat Shemitah, there was a market crash. Almost every single time we had Shnat Shemitah, the market crashed. The Great Depression in early 1900s, 1907, and so on and so forth. Almost every single time we had Shnat Shemitah, the market crashes. If anyone is interested, I'll send you the statistics. Average market went down over 35% on Shnat Shemitah. Now you're going to ask, what's the connection? Connection is very simple. Shnat Shemitah is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to admit that there's no such thing as kochi ve'otzem yadi, that I made the money. And we have to let HaKadosh Baruch Hu run the world. Let a parnasah be where it is. If a person is in the fields, he has a farm and so on, don't touch it, don't make any money. Now, average person says, why? Everybody else is working. Because that's the mitzvah. So, but how I'm going to survive? How are you going to survive? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to help you survive. Just like you survived before and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to you. You're going to survive now. A person that doesn't believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu 100% is not going to accept this. So Shnat Shemitah is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu rebukes the entire world. Why? Because you think that you're the one that made the money. You think that you're the one that invested into Bitcoin when it was 3 cents. You think that you're the one that invested in a property when no one wanted to buy it. You think that you're the genius that started that company. You think that you're the smart guy that developed that app. You think that you're the guy that knows how to sell cars and jewelry and all types of things. You think you made the money. Let me show you that you don't. Why? Because you're going to do all of the same things that you did, but this time you'll lose. I saw this with my own eyes when I was on Wall Street for almost 20 years. Almost 20 years on Wall Street, and I did not know this statistic until recently. I wish I knew it. Maybe I would have made some more money. And didn't lose everything instead. Yistabach Shemo. Now, Rabotai Yekarim, average person looks, Shnat Shemitah, Pseder, maybe it's not going to happen this time. And even if it does, they're not willing to see the truth. Because the average person is not looking for the truth. You, Baruch Hashem, have some schut when you're looking for the truth. And the truth is, Rabotai, that an average person is going to go through chapters in their life. Sometimes you'll do good, and everything you touch turns to gold. And sometimes, not so much. More like the gold turns to sand. If you have the kind of wife or spouse, let's say she's the one that makes the money and you're the one that only married her because of money. Because that's more common these days. Guess what? If the only reason why you're married is because of that, it's not going to survive. Why? Because eventually, it's not going to be enough. Either because the money is gone, or because something else is what you're looking for, and the money is no longer sufficient. So one of the things that we learn from Chachamim is that there are certain things in the Torah that we're obligated to do, and we get punished if we don't do them, but it doesn't say it simply in the Torah. Meaning, there's no obligation for you to give your wife a compliment, but you have to do it. Like, you don't have a 630 mitzvot, one mitzvah, you have to give your spouse a compliment. There's no such mitzvah. But there is a mitzvah in the Rambam that says something different. It says in Ilchot Ishut, chapter 16, verse 19, Halacha number 19. וכן ציוו חכמים שיהיה אדם מכבד את אשתו יותר מגופו, ואוהבה כגופו, ואם יש לו ממון מרבה בטובתה כפי ממונו, ולא יטיל עליה אימה יתרה, ויהיה דיבורו עימה בנחת, ולא יעצב ולא רגזן. Translation: Our sages commanded that a man has to give kavod, honor, to his wife more than himself, and to love her as he loves himself. If he has financial resources, meaning you have some money, he should offer her benefits according to his resources. He should not cast excessive measure of fear over her, and he should talk with her gently, being neither sad nor angry. How many husbands do you think are fulfilling this halakha? Very few. You know who's fulfilling it? The happy ones. Happy husbands, that's what they do. Unhappy husbands don't even know this halakha exists. Why? If you fulfill this halakha, guaranteed happy. Kol Torah kula, one halakha. How? Simple. Gemara says, Nashim shachtzanim hem. Women, they have ego. They have ego. They go, oh, that's not nice to say about women. Only if you are tipesh, you think it's not nice. Why? Ego is necessary for chinuch. Ego is necessary for chinuch. Meaning, if your wife is one of these people that's scared of her own shadow, she doesn't want to leave the house, I'm a loser, I'm a miskena, I'm a this, I'm a that, what is she going to do? She's going to teach her kids, oh, you're a misken, you're an idiot, don't go anywhere, stay in here, and the kids are going to be, Hashem yishmor v'yatzid, you're going to have a homeless shelter in your house. No one wants to take a bath because they're scared to waste water. So sometimes a wife needs to be shachtzanit, she needs to be, but she needs to teach in the right way, according to the Torah. You're going to be Talmid Chacham, but Ima, I don't know Aleph Bet. Okay, you're going to know Aleph Bet, you're going to know the entire Torah. But Ima, there's so much Torah, you're going to know it, you're going to be Gdol Hador. But Ima, Gdol Hador is big, you're going to be it. You're going to be it. Why not? Why not? Why can't your kid be Gdol Hador? Why can't your daughter be Sarai Imenu? Why not? A woman that knows a little bit of Torah and uses that inner trait in a positive way, Baruch Hashem. So if a husband is clever and he gives the wife kavod, he honors her. He honors her more than he even honors himself. Most guys honor themselves. He buys himself a $50,000 watch and his wife is still wearing the shoes from 1992. Today, in Mamash, I see this sometimes. I go to synagogues, and Mamash, I want to vomit. I want to vomit, not because of what people are doing, just simply how I see they dress. The guy comes to shul with $500 shoes. The jacket, I don't know, from like some place in Turkey or something, they made it for him. It's all types of colors, at least $5,000 jacket. And this and that. And fine, one day you see him with his wife, and his wife is like a little miskena, barely nothing. It's like, what is this? This is his maidservant maybe? How come he's wearing all these expensive clothes and his wife, barely, she's like almost like you thinking maybe I should give her tzedakah. She asks him, honey, we need to go shopping. Ask your father for shopping. The guy has all the money in the world, buys himself all watches and cars and this and that, but his wife, kamtzan shen kamo. Such a cheap guy that mamash, you don't know what to do with this guy. A person like this will never be happy. Will never be happy. Because if he's a kamtzan, if he's stingy when it comes to money, he's also stingy when it comes to words. Meaning that when his wife needs some support, some nice words, he's also a kamtzan. His wife needs a compliment. He's a kamtzan. Why? The whole world revolves around him. He spends an hour and a half in front of the mirror. Which, by the way, Shulchan Aruch says is forbidden. For all those guys that like to spend a lot of time in front of the mirror, it's forbidden. It's asur. Not allowed to be like a woman. Your wife spends an hour and a half in front of the mirror, no problem. You a guy, you're like one of these guys, oh, the hair thing? Yeah, they do the hair, an hour and a half gel. Makara, like what happened to guys? The guy became the girl became the guy, and this is not my chidush. Today they announced the United States for the first time in history has a new passport. Male, female, X. You don't know what you are. Sometimes you're him, sometimes you're her, sometimes you're it. Mamash, US passport. US passport has a section now that is it. Nothing. You're nothing. You're not a male, you're not a woman. Mamash. Sdom ve'amorah. But Rabotai, if this was only going on in the world of the Goyim, Chava, do what you want. But it's happening to us sometimes. You see sometimes the guys come to shul, and Mamash, the guy he's like a girl. So, Habibi, if you want to spend an hour and a half in front of the mirror, at the very least, you're spending all this money on your clothes and your shoes and your this and your that, at the very least, spend a little bit more on your wife. Why? That's the halacha. You buy yourself a watch, buy her a watch. You buy yourself a car, buy her a car if she needs a car. Don't be one of these people that's like the Muslims. You know what the Muslims are? Oh, they show her, oh, you listen, I have, you know, I'm a sheikh, I have a building over here, a building over there, all types of cars. The minute she falls for the trap, she becomes a wife, he puts her in jail. Ties her to the kitchen, she's never allowed to move. That's what they do. That's how, unfortunately, there's 60,000 Israeli girls married to Muslims as we speak, under the same exact trap. They wine and dine them, they say, listen, I own this building, my family owns that well of oil, this, that, the other thing. They buy them all types of jewelry, they bring them back to Saudi Arabia or some other place in Gehenom over there, and Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil, she becomes a servant. And there's an actual irgun, there's a couple of irgunim, there's one particular irgun, they specialize in rescuing these young girls. They rescue these girls. Arav Edri, Shichyeh. Mamash, one of the things that amazes me about most is his past. Why his past? In the past, he would find out these stories of these poor Israeli girls that are trapped in Muslim hands. He would go into their places, give them a few tikkunim, tikkun sarah, tikkun chatzot, tikkun, ishtabach shimo, and bring them, save the girl. Mitzvah from the Torah to do it. People think, oh, he's a murderer, it's not nice. Is it not nice? You know what they were doing to Bnot Israel? How many scars they have and how much they torture them? The point is, don't be like that Muslim guy. Oh no, but I don't hit her. You don't have to hit your wife to be a Muslim. You have to act like it. She's not allowed to have everything, and you're a Muslim. You're not Jewish. Go to some sheikh, say, give me a bracha. Salam alaikum. Why? If your wife is being treated like she's some slave, you don't have a wife. You have some Fatima. Because Allah says, you have to give your wife kavod more than yourself. How do you feel perfectly comfortable buying yourself all these wonderful things, but she asks you for some grocery money and you're giving her cheshbon? So you have to understand, give her kavod. What part of the kavod? All the compliments in the world. Rav Sonnenfeld, alav shalom, it was well known that he was an extraordinary Talmid Chacham. But aside from that, the Shalom Bayit that he had was admirable. Like people saw how much he loved his wife. Mamash, people saw, and it's not common for religious people, especially Talmidei Chachamim, to express love to their wives, because Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to show affection to your wife in front of people. So all these people that have like pictures of themselves with their wife in public, it's Isul. It's not allowed. Oh, he puts a film, oh look, we went on vacation, he shows him and his wife by a pool or something. Okay, every single second it's on the internet, you're getting a sin. There's mador this, mador that, all types of chambers for all types of people. Sometimes the rabbis do that. And Hashem Yishmor, that's the guy from Boca Raton. He also does that. You see pictures of him with his wife and all types of other strange women. Matches the parking lot that's active on Shabbat. But that's what happens. When a person doesn't really learn Torah, doesn't understand what to do, is not scared of what to do. A person that understands he has to give his wife kavod, that means that it's also with words. Rav Sonnenfeld, one time one of the Talmidim, wanted to see, how is it that him and his wife, the older they get, the more they love each other. He was invited for Shabbat. And he said, Pere Plaot. He sits at the table, the Rabbanit brings the challah, Rav Sonnenfeld takes a piece of the motzi, he takes a bite, and he makes this exaggerated, wow, Rabbanit, are you sure this is motzi? This is not mezonot? She goes, no, Rabbi, I'm sorry, no, this is motzi, just like the, wow, it's a cake, it's delicious. Wow, I want more, give another challah. She brings him another challah, he takes a second bite. Ooh, Rabbanit, are you sure that you're not an angel? You sure this is not man? No. She's 80 years old, he's 80 years old, and he's making a big deal like they just got married. The Talmid said, now I know what Shalom Bayit is. Now I know what Shalom Bayit is. Now I know why there's so much love in this house. He's not stingy when it comes to complimenting her. About what? Everything. Everything. Now what if a husband doesn't want to compliment his wife? What are the common denominators that happen to a husband that doesn't compliment his wife? Simple. His wife will look for the compliments somewhere else. Honey, I heard that you have to be tznuah. Rabbi Reuven says a woman's not tznuah is no good. Okay, tell that to your next wife. What do you mean? How come you don't want to be tznuah? Because I don't want to be tznuah. Why doesn't she want to be tznuah? You want to know the answer? Because when she put a mitpachat on, you didn't give her a compliment. And worse, you told her, oh honey, wow, you look like you're 80. Hashem Yishmor v'yatzil. Instead of giving her a compliment, you insulted her. Zohar HaKadosh says a person like this is mekulal mishamayim. Instead of complimenting your wife, you insulted her for being tznuah. Almost no tikkun for such a thing. Why? You're supposed to give her chizuk for being tznuah. You say, honey, the rabbi said to be tznuah. You think that's going to solve something? No. You know what you do? Honey, let me show you something, honey. I got something. Hold on. I made some money this month, and I put it all in this card. Go be tznuah. What? Go be tznuah. Buy everything you want. That's how you tell your wife to be tznuah. Go buy whatever you want. Why? Every single dollar you buy tznuah clothes is a mitzvah for me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says he's going to give it back to me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says he's going to give it back to me. Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 16. Gemara Masechet Beitzah, page 16. 16a, 16b. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides what type of parnasah everybody gets, except when it has to do with mitzvot. You want your wife to be tznuah? Not only be generous with words every time she puts something nice. That's tzanua, you give her compliments. If it's not tzanua, no compliments. Why? You can't compliment something that's making an avera. I'm not saying curse her out and yell at her, but obviously she has to see a positive reaction for something good. But even more so, you have some money, give it to honey, go buy a new wardrobe. Go buy a new wardrobe. Why? It's a mitzvah for me to buy you clothes. What wife is going to say no? What wife is going to say no, I don't want a new wardrobe? You know what wife? A wife that doesn't get any compliments from her husband. When she doesn't get compliments from her husband, she looks for the compliments from somebody else. Steve and Jose from the supermarket, they whistle at her like a dog. She'll come back to that supermarket. Why? Because her husband doesn't even look at her. But Steve whistled. Jose whistled. She'll go back to them. And if it continues, Hashem Yishmor, what happens? Rabotai Karim, if a person's fulfilled this halakha of honoring his wife, that in itself solves half the problems. If he has financial resources, the Rambam says, he has to offer her benefits. Meaning, you cannot have a wife that looks like she's homeless if you're a rich person. Why? The Gemara says, that makes you ungrateful. Why? Masechet Brachot, page 17a. says the promise of Olam Haba is higher to the women than it is to the men. And Masechet Yevamot says any man that doesn't have a wife has no happiness, no blessing, no good, no Torah, no peace, no nothing. It's like Zohar says, like an empty body. Why? Because all of the bracha that comes to a person's house, says the Gemara, the Zohar, and everything else, all the bracha comes from the wife. Comes due to the wife. If your wife is modest, you'll have bracha in your house. Your wife is not modest, you're not going to have bracha in your house. Why will she be modest? Because you find her more beautiful when she's modest. Honey, you're so beautiful, I don't want to share you with Jose and Steve anymore. That's why you have a black card. But honey, it's blue. For you, it's black. Spend whatever you want. That's what money is for. For you to fulfill a mitzvah of being tznuah. When a husband comes to his wife with a mitzvah like this, she wants to do it. Why? Because all of a sudden he finds her more beautiful. All of a sudden she's getting all the attention in the world. All of a sudden she gets a new wardrobe too. Who doesn't want to do it? Who doesn't want to do it? But if she's not going to get the attention from you, then she'll get it from Jose. She'll get it from Steve. She'll get it from all types of cockroaches in the street. And you, Chas v'Shalom, may end up joining a statistic. But don't think that it's only on the men. It's also on the women. Next halacha says, similarly, the commandment to a woman to honor her husband exceedingly and to be in awe of him. She should carry out all of her deeds according to his directives, considering him like an officer or a king. She should follow the desires of his heart and shun everything he disdains. You want to be a good wife? Start hating everything your husband hates. Now I'm not saying if your husband is some Nazi, I'm not saying follow him. I'm talking about things that are allowed to hate. He doesn't like when certain people come to the house. Why? They like to talk a lot of Lashon Hara. They like to do all types of things. So what do? Find new friends. Don't be one of those wives that brings all the girls to the house that he can't stand. Like some of these people, you know what they get divorced? Because their girlfriends tell them, I don't think he treats you right. I don't think he's good to you. She gets a divorce because of her girlfriend. If your husband doesn't like certain people, don't bring them to the house. Really, the best idea is not to bring girls to the house in general. The best thing that a woman can do for a marriage is never bring anybody to the house. No women to the house. You want to go meet one of your friends? Go for coffee when your husband's not home. A few minutes, whatever it is, finished. Don't bring anybody to the house. Why? Shem Yishmor, how many problems happen from all these girlfriends? First of all, 99% of the conversation is Lashon Hara. And even if it's not Lashon Hara and you don't want to consider all of those things, still, she sees your husband is the tzaddik, he compliments you, she wants your husband. Yeah, but she's married, but she still wants your husband. Why? That's what happens in the world. Who do you think people cheat on each other with? Strangers? No. They're friends. I have a guy I know, Greek guy, Goy, had a house 5 times the size of this Beit Knesset. Huge house. Was a plumber, made a ton of money plumbing in New York. One time I go to his house, has his this, everybody looks happy, they're married, all that. One day he tells me, you're never going to believe what happened to me. So what happened? I gave her a divorce. I'm like, what do you mean? You've been married for 25 years. He goes, yeah, I didn't know I was married to a prostitute. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, she cheated on me with my accountant. Your accountant? Yeah, she used to see the accountant 2 or 3 times a year, or at least I thought 2 or 3 times a year. And before you know it, the accountant decided to see her more often. A person that is careful is a person that's smart. Same thing for the ladies. Don't bring these girls to the house. There's no reason for you to have them. There's no reason. You want to go have a girlfriend, talk, chit-chat, things like that, outside of the house. Or even if they're coming, whenever your husband's not home. Now if your husband doesn't like to do certain things, the Rambam says, don't do them. Why? Because the king doesn't like it. What do you mean, Hashem? Hashem, sure, but also the king meaning your husband. Yeah, but who says he's the king? Torah says he's the king. But you know when he's going to become a king? When he makes you into a queen. You want your wife to treat you like a king, you have to make her into a queen. But sometimes he doesn't want to. Treat him like a king anyway. Why? If he sees you treating him like a king for long enough, he'll realize you're a queen. And not a servant. But sometimes he's a chamor, and he needs a little bit of extra help. Same thing opposite. So you know what you do? Send him to shiur Torah. Send him to shiur Torah. Here, look, go to Bezrat Hashem app, download it, watch every shiur Torah. By the time he's finished the week, he'll become a nice husband. Why? He'll realize all the things that happen if he's not a nice husband. The same thing for the wives. Sometimes the wife wants to be a girlfriend for everybody. She's like Shlomit from the Torah. She wants to say hi to everybody. Hi, every guy says hi, 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 hi. She's like, wants to say hi to the whole world. Not tov. So a person that wants to protect his marriage has to know what marriage is in the first place. Even more so, a woman that wants to have a husband that appreciates her has to appreciate him. You have anybody at the house that he comes home, those girls leave. Everybody leaves. Why? My husband's home. The king's home. You're on the phone? Bye, I gotta go. Why? I'm talking, middle conversation tomorrow. Bye. Husband's home. Don't be one of these wives that, hi honey, and you're still on the phone for an hour and a half while your husband's home. Why? You have to understand, the king is home. If you treat him like a king, he's more likely to notice you're a queen. If you treat her like a queen, for sure she'll treat you like a king. This, Rabotai, is the simple things that a person can apply to their life and bring endless brachot to their life. There's no end to the brachot that a person will get in their life if they're able to listen to some of the things that we said today and apply them to their life. Because simply, if you follow what Torah says, this is proven to work. You don't see 80% divorce rates in the Olam HaCharidi. You don't see it. Baruch Hashem, a few percentage, 2, 3, 4%, but it's not 80%. Why? We try to follow this. We try to follow this as best we can. Now, if a person follows it, he has the best thing in the world waiting for him. Not just heaven, in this world. If a person doesn't want to follow it and he wants to continue being the way he is, she wants to continue being the way she is, maybe you should get the rabbi's card and say, listen, Rabbi, do you do divorces? Why are you getting a divorce? I don't know, it's almost like prophecy. That's what the statistics say. You don't want to be one of those people. You want to be a happy marriage. Happy marriage is full of compliments. Happy marriage is full of thank yous. Thank you for what? Everything. Honey, thank you for working. Yeah, but I work all the time. I work for 50 years. Yeah, thank you. The next day, honey, thank you. What thank you? You just came home from work, right? Yeah, thank you. But I go to work, I need to make money for myself also. Okay, thank you. Thank you for working. Thank you for making food. Thank you for taking care of the kids. Thank you for looking beautiful. Thank you for not smelling like an ox, because that's how you smell when you usually come to the work. So Baruch Hashem, you went to the shower. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for everything. You thank your wife, you thank your husband endlessly, you'll thank a Kadosh Baruch Hu that you listen to the shiur. Bezrat Hashem will continue to learn, to teach, and to help Am Yisrael get closer and closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to mamash fix each one of our issues that we have, both home, work, and otherwise. Now I'll reserve the questions, whatever you guys want to ask me. Bechavod. Who wants to ask questions? Usually people, when I say questions, everybody has nothing to say. I say the camera's off, 5.5 hour questions. So I'll give you guys a minute or two.
You said for a woman they should not bring their girlfriends home, right?
Okay.
It applies to the guys as well. They should not bring their guy friends home as well, because it causes the same problem.
Unless they're learning Torah.
But aside from that, they shouldn't do it, right?
Okay, no. What if it's like watching TV or something? No. First, no. Socializing. Again, there has to be a reason for it. If it's a Shulchan Shabbat, you want to have guests, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But to just come and chit-chat, I don't know, play cards or something, or whatever people do with their lives, no. A guy has if he wants to have a happy life, if he's not an avrech, he's not a kollel, whatever he is, if he's either working or he's learning all day at a kollel, or he's working at his job, he's selling something, building something, whatever he's doing, right? That's one part of his life. Second part of his life, he has to go pray, he has to go to Beit Knesset, learn, pray. Third part, take care of his family. That's it. There's no hanging out with the guys at 2 o'clock in the morning, going to a club, having a few drinks. None of that stuff happens in a happy life. That happens in a divorce waiting to happen. Guys that go out with their friends, guys that go on vacation with their friends, girls that go on vacation with their friends, girls that have one night out a month with their girlfriends, those girls are not going to be married for very long. And if they are, it's going to be an unhappy marriage. Why? Because a lot of sins happen during all of those outings. You want to have a happy life? Reserve that life. You, your wife, the kids, ishtabach shimo. Finished. You want to have guests, family, friends, on Shabbat, on holidays. That's it. The day-to-day things that people do, especially Israelis, love to do this stuff, hang out, pitzuchim, all this nonsense. All of the divorces in the world happen because of this stuff. All the divorces in the world. Why? He's hanging out, the other guy's hanging out, everybody's hanging out, and they get to know all types of things. And there's actually a real story. Happened maybe about 35 years ago. One guy wanted to show off his new wife. His wife was tzadikah, so he invited some of his Chiloni friends. They came to the house, and Shnu, where's your wife? Oh no, my wife's tzadikah. What do you mean my wife is tzadikah? What do you mean? No, she's like in her room. She's not going to hang out with the guys. What do you mean she's not going to hang out? She's not going to say hi? No, what do you mean hi? What did you marry? A robot? And they started bashing him because he married some tzadikah, doesn't want to hang out with guys. So the guy took it to heart. What did he do? He went to the Rav. He said, Rav, I don't want her. I don't want her. Why not? She said, tzadikah. Not for me. Miskena. That's it. What did he do? He followed his friends, his genius friends. Went and found himself one of these arsit, one of these girls that likes to hang out and do all types of things. Marries her right away. Calls his friends. Yalla, you coming? What? I want to show you something. Comes to the house. And they're hanging out. And all of a sudden they have this beautiful girl hanging out with them. They're talking, chit-chatting, garinim, this, that, the other thing. And he says to the wife, honey, no, get us some beer. She looks at him and goes, what? What do you think I'm? What do you think I'm your slave? You got beer. He's embarrassed. His friends are there. His wife doesn't want to listen to him. He yells at her. She takes the bottle, bach, on his head. Potach lo tarosh, goes to the hospital, and of course files for a divorce. Goes to the Rav, says, for the Rav, I want my old wife back. He says, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. No, please, I heard she's not married, nothing happened, this. He says, for that, I have to go to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. Why? Says, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu is the only one that can deal with something like this. So they go to Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, Allah Shalom. He said, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu, bring her to me. Bring the tzadikah to me. Tzadikah comes to him. He says, no, you want to marry him? He says, Rabbi, you know what he did to me? How he treated me? How is this? He says, listen, after your head breaks, the moach comes in. Now that his head is broken, he's going to be a good husband. So sometimes the guy wants to have the guys over, or the girl wants to have a girl over, and that's what happens. So again, if you're learning with a chavruta in the house, you have a Torah type of a house, you want to learn together, Baruch haba. If you have a shiur, Baruch haba. You have Shulchan Shabbat, Baruch haba. Everything else, leitraot. Why? There's no time for that. Why? It only brings problems. The time that you have, that's not all the things I just mentioned, spend with each other. Spend with each other. Spend with the kids. There's no time for friends in real life. Real life doesn't have friends. You know who has friends? People have nothing to do with their life. Real life, you have Hashem, you have your family, finished. It's already a lot. Rabotai, I didn't tell you everything. There's a lot that I can teach you. And Baruch Hashem, I'm sure Rav Pinchasov teaches you endlessly. Reality is, a person that doesn't learn Torah has no share of the world to come. Every minute you have extra, if you're not with the wife, you're not at work, you have to learn Torah anyway. Who has time for friends? People think, oh, listen, if I keep Shabbat and I go pray once a day, I'm going to heaven. B'chalomot. In your dreams. You know, to earn Olam Haba is a lot of work. You have to learn Torah. There's no time for friends. Coffee, chit-chatting, garinim. There's no time for stuff like that. You want to have a successful life, invest it into your life, not into shtuyot. Shtuyot, leave for other people to do. And this is a genius invention of the Yetzer Hara. Genius invention. Why? He makes people think they need friends. Well, I need to socialize, Rabbi. Why? Socialize with Rashi. Socialize with Abaye, Rava, one of the Tanaim from the Gemara. What do you need to socialize with people? For what? Socialize with your wife. You want to talk, chit-chat, and go socialize with your wife. And that's the thing. Person that understands how much divorces are out there, like I do, I deal with this stuff all the time. I'm telling you, it's mamash. People bring the churban into their own house. They bring their friends and girlfriends and this and that, and before they know it, they forgot they're married. You have extra time? You already learned enough? You already worked enough? You already spent enough time with your wife? Go spend it with your kids. A person does these things, spend the time, all the things that I have, he doesn't have time. I work 20, 21 hours a day. I don't have any time. I don't have any friends, I don't have any time. How? There's a lot of stuff to do. So how does somebody that doesn't work even half the schedule that I do has so much time to hang out with his friend 2 hours a day? Like instead of daf yomi, it's like bizbuz man yomi. A person has to understand. Don't waste your time. You'll have a successful life. How, you have a question? Yeah? No? No? Any of the ladies have a question? How?
I have a question.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakolim dvor.
My wife and I like to invite people for Shabbat, for Shishi Erev, and that's the way I go with my family, and we do the same thing.
Okay.
And one of the biggest arguments I see myself running the circles with my wife is she uses a verse, Ve'ahavta arecha kamocha.
Okay.
But we know that we cannot invite people to come on Shabbat. So I tell my wife, I said, why don't we invite people to come either before, or if they come and we don't know, then that's something else.
Okay.
So we like to bring people for Shabbat. So right now the problem is, because she likes to invite, and I know that it's a sin for people to drive after Shabbat already started, this is a thing that continues to happen in our family, and I'm kind of stuck.
Okay, so your dear wife, B'ezrat Hashem, she'll watch this shiur. He told her that the pirush, we don't translate the verse in the Torah the way we understand it, like you read a newspaper, right? So when it says ve'ahavta lereacha kamocha, Chachamim say, if you look at the commentary by Rashi, or you look at the Chafetz Chaim on it, and many other commentaries, reacha b'mitzvot, meaning he's only reacha, he's only your brother if he's also keeping mitzvot. If he's keeping Shabbat and Torah, he's reacha. If he's not reacha. Stomeret, what does it mean? Lashon hara, everybody knows it's bad, right? Everybody knows Lashon hara is bad. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu did us a favor. He put this pasuk in the Torah. Why? He says Lashon hara is only applicable to someone that's amitecha, that's one of your nation, that's reacha, that's one of your brothers in mitzvot. If he's your brother in mitzvot, you say Lashon hara about him, you could lose olam haba, chas v'shalom. But if he's a mechalel Shabbat, it's not even a sin. You shouldn't do it, it's not a good midah, but it's not even a sin. Why is it not a sin? Because he's not a reacha in mitzvot. Why are you going to be obligated on mitzvot for somebody that doesn't keep mitzvot himself? And this, by the way, is a mamash chesed from Hashem. Why? Because if we were all judged on every single Jew because of his mother being Jewish, and not because he's keeping mitzvot, then pretty much nobody here has olam haba. Because at some point all of us spoke Lashon hara, and we haven't even remember enough to do tshuva for it yet. So it's only reacha, it's only amitecha, if it's when it comes to mitzvot. So which means that you have no obligation whatsoever to invite anybody to your house. Number one, as far as achnasat ochim, it's only people that don't have any place to go. So as far as you inviting people, it's not a mitzvah if they have food in their own house. Second of all, it's not a mitzvah if they're violating Shabbat. En mitzvah ba be'avera. You're not allowed to make a mitzvah by way of avera. Third, if they come to your house and they end up leaving with a car, okay, on Shabbat, and you knew that it was going to happen, because it already happened before, it's considered as if you drove on Shabbat. And a mechalel Shabbat, en lo chelek le'olam haba, has no share of the world to come, and a lot worse. So you have to understand: is it really worth it to eat some couscous and some gush guzhe and some other stuff over there just for you? It's not. It's not worth to go to Gehenom for somebody just to have some food with you. The person needs to think. You want to invite somebody to the house that doesn't keep mitzvot? No problem. Tell them, listen, come to my house, but stay in my house. Come to my house, but stay in my house. Now some people are going to say, yeah, but maybe they're not going to come. I'm going to tell you a live story happened to me exactly a week ago. A woman from New York, I talked to her. She's tzadikah, I know, for a long time. And she gives our books and all types of Kiruv material in New York over there. And I had to talk to her. She had some type of Hashem Yishmor, death in her family. And she says, listen, Rabbi, I got to tell you, I forgot to tell you, but you know, you're responsible not only to help us, our family, her husband and kids and so on. She said, but also, my brother and two of his kids keep Shabbat because of you. I said, but I never spoke to them. He goes, yeah, listen to what happened. This is like a year and a half ago. I had a shiur, and in the shiur, I said exactly what I just told you. Somebody that has guests that he knows are violating Shabbat, they drive on Shabbat, and he's inviting them anyway, knowing that they're going to leave on Shabbat. He's considered as if he's mechalit Shabbat. She heard this, she almost had a heart attack. Why? She's a tzadikah, she keeps Shabbat, she keeps everything. She already went through tshuva and everything. But she says, I have guests, I have my brother and his kids coming to my house every week. I figured at least he's going to keep the masoret, have some kiddush. Right? At least the mitzvah, no? Then I heard you, I said, Hashem Yishmor. I showed it to my son said, the rabbi said, you have to tell them. So she says to her, what are they going to do? How am I going to do it? They're going to take offense to it. I have to do it. She has some yirat shamayim. She says to her brother, listen, can you just stay at our house on Shabbat? She says, no, I can't. Why do I need to stay in your house? I want to go home. I want to hang out. I'm not like you guys. So then you can't come. Why not? What did I do? No, you didn't do anything. It's just that I don't want to go to Gehinnom. She goes, what do you mean Gehinnom? Why? Inviting me? I'm such a bad guy? He goes, no, you're a nice guy. You're my brother. But I know you're driving into my house and you're driving back, it's considered like I drove on Shabbat. It's considered like I drove on Shabbat. So I don't want to go. She showed him the video. He says, if it's really that big of a deal that you are going to get punished for me, from now on we're going to keep Shabbat. Titen emet liYaakov. That's what Torah says. Give emet to Yaakov. As soon as Yaakov, as Am Yisrael, knows the emet, more times than not, they're going to make the right choice. He decided to keep Shabbat, his family kept Shabbat, Ishtabach Shimo. Why? He told them the truth. So again, if you know they're going to violate Shabbat, you're not allowed to invite them. Unless they're going to stay at your house. If they're not going to stay at your house, pick other guests. Pick other guests and tell your wife, it's not a mitzvah. And it's not good for Shalom Bayit. And it brings a lot of tzarot, a lot of problems and everything. So, you want to do mitzvot, you want to do good things, you have to do them the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu said them. And this shouldn't really be an issue of machloket between you and your wife. As soon as she understands all of these extra details that probably were missing from the equation. She thought it's still a mitzvah. Like most people think it's still a mitzvah to invite chilonim to the house even though they know they're going to violate Shabbat. It's not a mitzvah. If it's the first time you invite them, you don't even know if they're going to drive, you're going to try to give them some chizuk. One time, close your eyes. Twice, close your eyes. After that, there's no reason for it. No posek in the history of mankind will ever give you permission to continue inviting your family for 6 months, a year, 2 years, knowing that they're violating Shabbat. It's not a mitzvah, and actually it's a sin. Hashem Yishmor v'yatzil.
I just have one last question. In my immediate siblings, my brothers and my sisters, everyone else, nobody lives in Kiruv.
It's common, yeah.
So, for me, because I already know what's going to be the end, at what point do I just back off and say, okay, I've tried to inspire you, I've tried to teach you, you don't listen, and they continue. Do I still have an obligation to still try to help them, or do I get to the point where I say, listen, nothing really happened, so now I give up?
Alright, okay, so you guys heard of the Holocaust? Heard of the Holocaust before? Ken? Okay, Holocaust is terrible, right? Imagine somebody told you, listen, what's your name? Jacob. I have this guy, and I have a way to get him out of the Holocaust. Well, how? You, and only you, can do it. You gonna do it or no? Or tell him, nah, let him go, the gases are good for his health. You gonna say it? I'm gonna save him. Why? Because you know what happened in the Holocaust, right? Okay. Gehinnom is much worse than the Holocaust. Holocaust is like kindergarten, next to the Holocaust. Okay? And that's the smallest part of Gehinnom. Gehinnom, I have a whole shiur if anybody wants to know about it. I have a whole 3.5 hour shiur about Gehinnom, Hashem Yishmor v'yatzil. When I was learning for the shiur, I started crying. Mamash, crying like a baby. Learning for the shiur for Gehinnom, crying like a baby. Why? Because I know that what I'm learning is not even 1% of 1% of what the truth is. So a person understands that he has family members, he has friends, he has people in his keilah, he doesn't even know them. But they're in keilah. They're Am Yisrael in Arizona, in New York. Somebody, he never even heard of this guy. But he's part of his own people. He knows that guy can go to this place. If you're not crying, at least inside, there's something wrong with your Jewish neshama. If you're not crying that people are going to go to a Holocaust, worse than the Holocaust, and you can do something about it, there's something wrong with your Jewish neshama. So, as far as the mitzvah that you mentioned before, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you look at the same exact place in the Torah, it says, ocheach tochiach et amitecha, ve'lo tisa alav chet. You have to rebuke your brother, but don't get to a way of sin. Meaning, there is a mitzvah that's not very common anymore in this generation, which is the mitzvah of tochecha. The mitzvah of rebuking people, you see them are doing something wrong. Now, rebuke comes in all forms and sizes. And a person has to be clever to understand that not all rebuke works for all people. Sometimes I can be the best speaker in the world, but I can talk to somebody and nothing works. I can tell them proofs from the Torah, proofs from science, proofs from psychology, shiur for 9 hours, genom, kafakela, every day. Doesn't make a difference. Why? I'm not the vessel. I'm not the vessel for that particular person. But Arav Pinchasov will say Shabbat Shalom to him. Finished. The guy is doing tshuva, kisses the Rav on the hand, listens to every shiur, starts telling people to come to the shiur. Why? Rabbi Chasam is the vessel. For some people it's him, for some people it's me, for some people it's you. So everybody has to understand that you're not always the vessel, especially with family. Why especially with family? Because family have ego. They remember you when you were still with the diapers. You're going to tell me what to do? I used to change your diapers. You're going to tell me to keep Shabbat? I paid for your tuition. You're going to tell me to keep Shabbat? You're going to tell me what to do? I'm your big brother. I'm your big sister. I'm your cousin. I'm your uncle. You're going to tell me what to do? It's ego. Nobody wants to listen to that. So what do you do with family? You have to rebuke them. There's a mitzvah from the Torah. You have to rebuke them, or else the Torah says you're going to fall for the sin. And the Rambam paskins, how many times you have to rebuke them? Until they hit you. Until they hit you. So wait, so first you said, rebuke them until they hit you. Then you said, don't rebuke them because you're not the vessel. Yeah. So what's? It's not a kashya. It's not a problem. Why? What's the solution? You don't do it. You give it to me. How do you give it to me? There's a link on the internet, be'ezrathashem.org. Go pick 1,000,000 shiurim over there. Or go to the Be'ezrat Hashem app. Go pick 1,000,000 shiurim over there. Or go to my YouTube channel. Go Rabbi Yaron Reuven. There's 3,000-4,000 shiurim over there. Any shiur you want. It doesn't make a difference. Send it to them and the work starts. So instead of you talking to them and having to deal with their ego, that they don't want to listen to you because you're their brother, you're their cousin, you're their whoever you are, and they don't want to listen to you because it's you, let them listen to me. And if they listen to me, all of a sudden they forgot that you sent it to them. Why? Because they're listening to it, they start owning the idea. And if they decide to start keeping, they feel like it was their idea to keep, not you told them. But in Shamayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the schar as if you created them. As if you created them. You become a shutaf with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Become a partner with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So much so that the Zohar HaKadosh says that if people understood the mitzvah of helping people do tshuva, they would go and chase after Reshaim. Chase after Reshaim, like people chase after money. But even more so, I learned today, they would chase after Reshaim and buy them. What does it mean, buy them? Bribe them to go do mitzvot. And by bribing them to do mitzvot, you are now taking the Yetzirah, the Sitra Acha, out of their life by force. And you'll see how their life changes. And let me tell you, I saw with my own eyes. I saw this Zohar in my own eyes in the last year. There's a guy, I met him 4 or 5 years ago in Eretz Yisrael. Middle of Har Nof. He's related to somebody that I know. The guy used to go to yeshiva when he was a little kid. The Rosh Yeshiva made a shiur. Don't be like him. A whole shiur, an hour shiur about how not to be like this kid. Why? Because he wore different shoes than the rest of the Talmidei Yeshiva. Misken, he was 14 years old. The rabbi killed him. After that, of course, he dropped out of yeshiva. He hated religious people. He hated everything. And he became mamash like hater of everything. Went to Thailand, went to Gehenom, went to everything that he could possibly go to. Every sin under the sun, he made. Eating on Yom Kippur, Chametz on Pesach, everything. I met him a few years ago. I tried giving him a few this, that, nothing. I see the guy, mamash, you could see the tumah on him. Shem Yishmo. Nothing works, nothing. Nice kid, but nothing. A year ago, my Rav says to him, listen, how about this? We'll pay you $10,000 to finish the Shas in 1 year. Why? You like money. We'll give you money. $10,000. Learn Shas, finish it in 1 year. The guy likes money so much, he forgot he hates the Torah so much. He forgot he hates Hashem. Shas, how many pages do you have to learn? 7 pages a day. Finish 7 dapim a day, you finish the Shas in 1 year. Before you know it, the guy's learning. 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Him and a few other guys. 15 guys we signed up. 4 of them made it. We just had a siyum Shas in Eretz Yisrael a week and a half ago. All types of Gdolei Ador came to it. Rav Gidon ben Moshe, Rav Yaakov Zamir, Rav Naim, Rav Sharvit. All types of tzaddikim came to it. Why? They saw 4 tzaddikim that completed the Shas in 1 year. Now they look like you. They look like you. They don't look like Yeshiva Bachurim. They look like you and look regular people. But these kids have the Shas. They have the Shas in 1 year. They have the Shas. And you know what they're doing right now? They're learning more. You know why? Because that's all they want now. All they want right now is to learn Torah. So we have a new deal with them. Learn the entire Mishnah and Yalkut Yosef in 1 year. And little by little we're going to kill the Satan. A person like this, there was no other way. There was no other way. But now you have a tzaddik. Now you have a tzaddik, finished the Shas, learns Torah, and he works. Don't think he's like all learning, he became an avrech. Works, this, that, has a wife, kids. But he learns the Shas. He finished the Shas in 1 year. Most people don't finish the Shas in their whole life. Zohar Kadosh says, go and chase Reshaim is good. Do Kiruv, do good things. But if you can pay for it, pay for it. Why? You'll be fighting the Yetzer Hara for them. How many people are willing to do that today? Most people are barely willing to buy themselves the Shas. Forget about paying for somebody else. But that's when you love mitzvot, you love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you do whatever you can. You love Am Yisrael. You want to help a guy, whatever it takes, and it works. Your family, send them the shiurim. If you have a young family, of young people in the family, you convince them with a few dollars to keep Shabbat. Here's $200, keep Shabbat. If you have the means, do it. Why? You're helping them. You're helping them. It's either that or Hashem Yishbo. That's what you got to look at. So when do you stop? Never. It's just that you have to change the vessel. It's not you, it's me. If it's not me, it's Rav Pinchasov. If it's not Pinchasov, go to Rav Yosef Mizrahi or Rav Ephraim Kachlon, or pick a vessel, but only a vessel that's a good vessel that's going to get them to do tshuva. But you'll succeed. Chavod. Okay.
I had a question on modesty and weight.
Okay.
Regarding the machloket. So you know there's a shidduch prices around the whole Judaism world, and my question was, as a male, when especially when you get invited over for Shabbos or all these other events, how are you able to tell who's married and who's not married? Because sometimes the wigs, as you know,
woman wears a wig, you can't tell if she's married or not.
Yeah, the wigs usually look a little bit better than the hair. So you really can't tell, and you wouldn't want to be talking to somebody else's wife inappropriately or approaching them. You want to do respect, you know. So my question is, how as a man looking for zibuk or looking for your...
Where are you going exactly? That's you seeing all these all single women or these all married women? Where are you seeing all these people?
So I flew out from Phoenix for the shiur.
Shrecha.
So you get invited in Phoenix. There's a lot of Bukhari and there's a lot of Hasidut and then there's Chabad.
Okay, so I understand.
So when you get invited...
So here's the thing. As far as looking for shidduch should not be found in places that have so many people. A lot of problems happen in places like that where there's so much socializing between male and female all in one place. Hashem Yishmor, a lot of bad things happen in those places. Generally, shidduch, you should find one-on-one. Somebody should suggest something, you suggest something, and go on a date with that one particular person. That's advice number one. Number two, unless a woman is somebody that you are interested in potentially marrying her, you have no permission in looking at her. Which means that it doesn't matter if she's married or she's not married, you're still not allowed to look at her. Other than just notice that she's there, like the cash register woman or the doctor or whoever it is, you notice that they're there, that's it. The looks end unless you're looking to marry this woman. Which means that if you're following the halacha, that you're not allowed to look at any woman at all, it doesn't make a difference if she wears a wig, she wears a cockroach on her head, she wears a stapler, it don't make a difference to you. Because you're not looking at her in that way. The only time you're looking at somebody in that way is somebody that's on a shidduch with you. You have a potential to potentially marry them. He solves all your problems in the world. Now, of course, what I just said is easier said than done. So a person has to get themselves used to looking on the floor and 4 amot in front of him, side of him. Anybody that you see, notice that they're there, but that's it. Don't have your eyes like a mamtera. You know, mamtera is like one of these water things. Sprinklers. Goes over here, goes over there. Don't have your eyes like that. But Hashem, you'll succeed. But listen, it's not easy to be single. Not just today, ever. It's not easy. But if a person prays to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the right amount of prayer, learns the right amount of Torah, does the right amount of Ma'asim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him. Why? The Gemara promises. Masechet Sotah, the first daf bet, says that a person that's righteous gets a modest woman. A person that's a rasha gets an immodest woman. Righteous person gets a modest woman because if she's modest, she's most likely righteous. A wicked person gets immodest because if she's immodest, for sure she's wicked. Even if she gives a lot of tzedakah and she makes challah every single day of the year, doesn't make a difference. If she's not modest, she's not righteous. So if you are doing everything that you need to do, Be'ezrat Hashem, you'll have the zivuk, Be'ezrat Hashem, this year. Say amen. Amen. Yada, next one. Everybody finished the questions? Know the rest of the Torah? He has all the good questions.
In the last parsha we saw that when Hashem told Avram that he was going to destroy Sodom, why did Avram Avinu say to Hashem that if there's 50, 40, all the way to 10? Why didn't he just tell Hashem if there's any?
If there's any?
Yeah.
Well, Avraham Avinu gave kav zchut. Avraham Avinu gave kav zchut to the people of Sodom. He couldn't believe that there's a place on earth that still has the right to exist without having a certain amount of tzaddikim there. And so he figured it has to be a place that big, should have at least 50 tzaddikim. Hashem says, if there is, I'll tell you. By that answer, Avraham already understood that most likely there isn't. So he started lowering the number, and as Hashem was agreeing with him so fast, he understood that this situation is worse. One of the funny things I heard from an old friend of mine from Wall Street, the worst thing you can do to a Jewish person in business is agree to his offer. He says, I'll sell it to you for $1 million. Okay, fine. That's the worst thing you could do. Why? Because he knows you got a bad deal if you agreed right away. So Avraham Avinu, as soon as HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed right away, Avraham Avinu understood, oh, it's probably not 50. 45? Yeah, sure. 45 we'll do 2. 40? Okay, 40 we'll do 2. 30, 20, Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzil. There's nothing. There's nothing. So a person that loves Am Yisrael, loves HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is going to fight for every single ounce that he can get. Every single ounce that he can get. Even if you can get somebody to sin less, you can't save him. He's not going to change his whole life. But you can tell him, listen, you know what? You're going to smoke, you're going to drink, you do all these bad things. That cigarette on Shabbat, don't smoke it. He's still going to go to Gehenom, get punished if he doesn't do tshuva, but a little less. A little less. A person that loves Hashem and loves the creation is going to try to get people to at least do less, because there's less disrespect of Hashem, there's less sins, there's less punishment for them, and so on. So Avraham Avinu was trying in essence to do something that Noach did not do. Noach did not fight for the people. Noach, whoever came to him, he told them what's going to happen. If they didn't change, Salamat, good luck to you. Avraham was fighting for everybody. Why? Because Avraham was a Kiruv rabbi. That's what he did his whole life. It says that he came from Shechem with all of the souls that he made. Chachamim say, what do you mean souls that he made? All of the people that he got them to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's considered as if he made them. As if he created them mamash, like Hashem. And that's what it means. That's what the source we get for people that help people do tshuva. Either they help them by speech, or they help them by giving them a CD, or they help them by giving them a bag, or they help them by donating money, or they help them by giving them a book, or they help them by bringing them to a shiur, or whatever way they help them to at least spark that neshama again. It's considered as if you created that person. Now what if he doesn't do tshuva? Then he's not going to get olam haba. So where does his share of the olam haba go to? You. Meaning either way you win. Either you get 310 worlds added to your olam haba because you helped one person do tshuva, or Or you just simply get their share. Because they're not going to go there, so it has to go somewhere. Because it says, Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelek le'olam haba. All of Israel have a designated in heaven. But if they're not going to fulfill the mitzvot, they can't go there. You can't be a rasha, go to heaven. There's no criminals in heaven. Esav is not in heaven. All the mechalei Shabbat don't go to heaven. Even after 1 billion years, they're not going to heaven. So if you help somebody go to heaven, you get even more heaven. If somebody lost their heaven because they don't want to keep Torah mitzvot, they want to spit in Hashem's face, they want to violate the Torah, they don't care, and you try to help them, they simply don't want to listen, so their olam haba has to go somewhere. It goes to the person that tried to help them. But again, don't think, oh, if I just try one time, that's it, I'm finished. No, you got to keep trying and trying and trying. Just like the example we gave. If you knew you could save somebody from the Holocaust, then you wouldn't just say, listen, you want to come? No? Okay, fine, die. You're not going to do that. Say, no, you're going to convince them. If you have to, you're going to bribe him just to get him to leave the Holocaust. And that's what a lot of people don't do today because they don't really think that there is a bad place. Like everybody thinks, listen, even if there's gay, no, maybe it's only 1 year and that's it. Eventually everybody goes to heaven. Nonsense. Nonsense. The Rav knows, you learn Gemara. Anybody here learn Gemara? You just did a Daf Yomi of Rosh Hashanah, page 17a, talks about Hashem Yishmor. There's not only 1 year. So a person that knows that this is a possibility for somebody that doesn't keep Torah and mitzvot, say, listen, that's my brother, that's my cousin, that's my uncle, that's my father. I don't want him to go to a bad place. So I'm going to try to talk to them. They don't want to listen to me. Okay, I'm going to bring the Rav to talk to them. But the Rav is not local, or the Rav can't come. Okay, so I'll bring the shiur to them. Or I'll bring them to the shiur. And you keep trying different things, different tricks. We tried with the USB. We tried with the QRC code. We tried with the DVD. We tried with YouTube. We tried with everything we try. And eventually it works. Eventually it works. If they have a neshama, that's a Jewish neshama, if you try hard enough, it'll work. At some point it'll work. If it doesn't work, it means there's something wrong with the neshama. But eventually it works with everybody. Even the worst people in the world. I've seen them, Baruch Hashem, change their life. But again, you need somebody that's willing to sacrifice. If you want to sacrifice for your family, you'll succeed. Anything else? Yeah? Okay. Okay.
We have a 7-year-old and a 20-year-old in our family.
Boy, girl?
7-year-old girl and a 12-year-old. And they know already, you know, what that means and
okay.
Do a small prayers, but in the morning. But what prayers or what things in the Torah should they be learning in different stages as they age? Because
they go to Jewish school?
They do go to Hebrew school. They do go to Jewish
No, not Hebrew school. Jewish school like keeps Torah and mitzvot. Or it's like Israeli school where it's like, you know, they teach you about Zionism and that everybody is the same.
Not that deep, but they are in a Jewish environment.
Reform?
I don't know.
Is a rabbi leading the school?
No, they go to charter school, like my kids, but they have it's Ben Gamla. And
it's a reform school.
Yeah.
The reform school.
Taking our kids out of the school.
Ben Gamla?
Orthodox rabbi, he was running the Jewish program. The school is a public school. It's only 4 hours, and then the rest of it is a Jewish school with the rabbi and with
the few students that I have that went to that school, very reform. So either they're terrible students, or and the information that I have is wrong, or our understanding and definition of Orthodox are different. Because from my understanding, I looked at the school, there's nothing Orthodox about it. The type of student and what they're teaching over there is not Orthodox Judaism. And you have to make sure that you exert all efforts to get them to the school that's going to teach them what the Torah says. Now, again, it's not easy. It's not readily accessible. But if there is a more frum school that you know of, do whatever you can to convince your wife to get them there.
So we're going to be putting our kids into making that involved soon.
Okay.
So for me as a
I don't know about you though. But.
Right. So for me as a parent, I'm trying to understand what I should be teaching my kids as they grow at their stages and what ages.
At this age, the biggest thing you want to give your kids an impression of is who they're going to admire. They asked Rav Steinemann, Alav Shalom, am I allowed to send my 3 or 4 year old girl or boy to Chiloni kindergarten? Now, before the age of chinuch, which is 6 years old usually, there's a lot of leniency. So for your 4-year-old, there's more leniency than your 7-year-old. So before that age, the more leniency. He said, listen, I can't keep him home all day. They're 3, 4 years old, but I don't want to send them anywhere. So, but the only school that's available is this Chiloni school, a little kindergarten, Ma'on, preschool. But it's Chiloni. So Rav Steinerman says, if the teacher over there is willing to replace the pictures on the wall of the Zionists and atheists with tmunot of tzaddikim, with pictures of tzaddikim, then you can send your kid over there. But they don't teach Torah, they don't teach mitzvot. At that age, you don't necessarily need to focus on your son or daughter becoming a Rav Shach or Rav Ovadia. You need them to admire tzaddikim. Whoever they see, that's who they admire. If you show your kids video games, they're going to admire video games. You show them movies, they're going to admire movies. You show them tzaddikim, they're going to admire tzaddikim. Now if you show them both, they're going to admire whatever moves faster. Video games and tzaddikim, they're going to admire the video games, not the tzaddikim. So the biggest thing you want to teach your kid at that age is sipurei tzaddikim. All types of stories of tzaddikim. The more, the better. There's all types of sets, books you can read them, your wife can read them, to make them see pictures of tzaddikim, learn the stories of tzaddikim, learn who the superhero is. Learn who the superhero is. The more they start admiring tzaddikim, the more they're going to want to be tzaddikim. And when your kid want to be tzaddikim, they're going to be the force in the house that fulfilled the Gemara in Masechet Sotah, page 49b, that says that the generation before Mashiach, the kids help the parents do tshuva. The more the kids see tzaddikim, kedusha, the stronger they become, the stronger they make their parents. And when your father, your cousin, whoever that's not keeping Shabbat, sees your little daughter, your little son, talk about some tzaddik she heard about today, guess what? That's worth more than 5 hours shiur by me. Why? Little 5-year-old tells you about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, tells you about Rav Ovadia, tells you about some tzaddik she heard about today, the Baal Shem Tov, something, it's $1 billion. That little 5-year-old knows it and I don't know it. So, the guy's going to say, okay, maybe I should do something about it. And many times, little kids help people do tshuva. Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shalom. It's a story, there was a 5-6-year-old little kid that wanted to get candles for Shabbat. The parents were complete atheist, chilonim, nothing. And when she asked them, can I buy candles for Shabbat? The mom yelled at her. So the little girl went into the mother's purse and stole a few shekels. And she went to the chanut and she said, I need candle for Shabbat. A few candles for Shabbat. Now the store owner didn't understand. Usually Shabbat candles, they're not sold individually. They're sold in packs. So he thought she's referring to what? A ner neshama, a yard side candle. So he gave her 2 yard side candles. So she takes the 2 yard side candles, she goes to the house, and she lights the little candles, little 4 or 5-year-old kid. The parents notice that the kid is nowhere to be found. They go to the room, they open the door, so what are you doing? The kid's scared, nothing. What is that? Candle. They see it's a ner neshama. A ner neshama is somebody that died. She says, what's that for? That's for Ima, that's for Abba. At that moment, the parents, the asimon fell in, the little token fell in. If we don't start keeping Shabbat, that will be for Ima, that will be for Abba. They started keeping Shabbat. Start keeping Shabbat. Why? Little 4-year-old got siyata dishmaya, might as well be Ruach HaKodesh and help them with 2 little candles. This is a Gemara Meforeshet, a Gemara Masechet Sotah. So, if you send your kids to the most frum school you can find, you're doing your job. If you're sending your kids to like a half questionable type of school, maybe you're going to teach them about Ben Gurion, maybe they're going to teach them about, Saddam Hussein, maybe you're going to spend 9 hours teaching them math, you have to. Math you need to know, science you need to know, everything you need to know, but Torah is the foundation of everything. If Torah is the foundation of what the school teaches, good school. If being leumi, leumi, like modern Orthodox, they want to be everybody together. Everybody together, you have everybody together. You have intermarriage of 80%, everybody together. Guys and girls, they think they're guys and girls. The guy thinks he's a guy, he's a girl, the girl thinks she's a guy, everybody together. So you have to understand, the world we live in today is Sodom and Gomorrah. There's no more modern Orthodox that's going to survive. I'm telling you guys. There's no more modern Orthodox is not going to survive. Mashiach is not going to save modern Orthodox. Mashiach is not going to save chilonim. Either a person is going to go 100% like the Rav and become the most frum he can be, or he's going to be mikre avud. Dor shekulo zakai, dor shekulo chayav. Why? You see, the generation today, who's frum today? Either the Baal Tshuva, or a person that his parents and grandparents have already been keeping and b'mesirut nefesh, staying close to the Masoret, even if it means they have to die for it. What about all the Chilonim from 2,000 years ago that went with the Greeks? What about the Chilonim that went with the Spaniards? What about with the Chilonim that went with the Enlightenment movement and the Reform? They're not Jewish anymore. They're not part of Am Yisrael. They're gone. 1, 2 generations, they became Goyim. Meaning that everybody today that's alive today, they're one generation from a rabbi. Meaning, if they're not religious, their grandfather was a rabbi. Their grandfather was a rabbi. Meaning somebody went off. Like the grandfather was good, the father was less, the kid already is an atheist. That's how it is. So you have to understand, there is no like 50-50. This whole like mentality of being datiloni, half this, half that, it's not going to survive. You have to understand, if you want your kids to marry Jewish girls, Jewish boys, you have to go 100%. I can't, do the best you can. Do the best you can. Why? Because you have intermarriage in America is over 80%. Over 80% of people are marrying goyot. That means that they are one generation away from not existing. Because a Jew that marries a non-Jewish girl, they have a kid, the kid's not Jewish. Now, of course, you're going to have some Rasha in Arizona named Michael Aminov that's still going to do a Brit Milah last week for the non-Jewish kid with all the brachot, but the kid's still not Jewish. You're always going to find some Rasha to kosher the tarif, but that doesn't make it kosher. That doesn't make it kosher. A pig, you could slaughter it, shecht it with all of the halachot. It's still a pig. It's still a pig. A person that understands the previous generation, that was Chilonim, that was atheist, that was Reform, that was Greek, that was Roman, they're not here anymore. The only people that survived are people that stayed close to the Masoret. Or people that did tshuva, because the previous generation screwed up, but again, it's 2 generations away. That's it. If a person understands the cheshbon, this accounting in his head, he and she are going to do everything possible to go all the way. Now, when do you not go all the way? Either because you don't believe. You don't believe what I just said. You don't believe what Torah says. Or you simply don't know the consequences. Meaning you believe, but you don't really think it's that bad. There's treatment for both accounts. If you don't know, we have, Baruch Hashem, thousands of shiurim online for free that you can watch, you can listen to in all types of formats. And if you don't know the consequences, we give you a 2-for-1 deal. Every shiur talks about consequences. 2-for-1 deal, same price. Once a person knows the consequences of driving really fast on the highway, that he could lose his license, that he can get fined, that he could go to jail, most likely he's not going to drive fast. Why? Because fear is the #1 motivator in humans. That's the #1 thing that a human person is motivated by, fear. So if a person is scared of the right thing, he's a smart person. Reshit chokhmah yirat Hashem. The beginning of wisdom is to be afraid of Hashem. But if he's afraid of cockroaches, he's afraid of the government, he's afraid of his wife, he's afraid of the neighbor, he's afraid of all types of shtuyot, he's afraid of the wrong thing. He has to be afraid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How do you show you're afraid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Afraid of not doing what he said. No, and it's easy today. It's easy to be religious. It's not hard to be religious. People think it's so hard to be religious. It's not hard to be religious. Well, you have 1 vacation a week. Who doesn't want a vacation? People spend, I need a better job. Why? I want to get a job that gives me an extra day a year in vacation. How many days do you get already? I get 1 week vacation. Be a Jew, you'll get every week vacation. 1 day a week. 52 days a year, you have vacation on Shabbat. Then on top of that, you have the holidays. You have vacation every week. On top of that, the food that you eat is food that people care about before they give it to you. The way they shecht it, the way they make it, and so on. Less likely to get all of these diseases that people have. On top of that, the wife that you're going to marry, the husband that you're going to marry, or at least your kids are going to marry, are not going to be public property. You know, people today, they get married to people that are public property. Oh, how are you? How are you? How many husbands did you have today? 17 by the time she got to you. And don't worry, by the time he got to 150, and he's proud of it, chutzpan. He's proud of it that he had 150 girlfriends. People don't understand, you're public property, you're not good. Public property, the only thing that's public property is garbage. That's the only thing that's public property. A person that treats himself with kedusha has worth. But what other nation considers this kedusha? Only Am Yisrael. Only Am Yisrael considers that kedusha. So the more religious you are, the more kadosh you are. The more kadosh you are, you have a better life. And the beautiful thing is, there's proof in the pudding. If you have done tshuva, or you're in a process, look at your life today, compare it to when you started. You'll see a lot of changes, but even more so, look at everybody else that didn't. Your cousin, your uncle, your father, whoever. You did tshuva 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Look, your life changed drastically. Where you live, what you eat, who you married, all the kids, everything changed for you. Them, same garbage. Nothing changed in their life. Nothing. Still have problem with the wife, still hates the husband, the kids don't like them, the job sucks, everything is terrible in their life. The same thing like it was, like mamash, it's like Groundhog's Day. Everything is the same thing. I don't understand, Ribono Shel Olam, my whole life changed a million ways in 10 years. You're still the same thing? You're still the same conversation? They haven't even changed conversation. They haven't learned anything new. The biggest topic they can tell you is what's on the news today. Mamash like a tuki. Parrot. That's it. That's the chokhmah of the world. Who are you voting for? That's what you have to talk about. Who I'm voting for? What do you care? What do you think of Bitcoin? What do you think of the stock market? That's all that's in your head. That's it. That's it. There's a little like what? A little gerbil in your head. There's no brain there. They have nothing to talk about. Nothing changed. Their life is exactly the same. You've done tshuva. That means you've learned Torah every day. If you learn Torah every day, every year is different. Every year you look at yourself, back a year. I can't believe that was me. I can't believe I wore those clothes. I can't believe I acted that way. I can't believe I went so far. I have advanced so much. Another year. Wow, Ribono Shel Olam. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yishtabach Shemo. Look how much I changed. Look how much better my life is, my marriage, my wife, my kid. Look how much good. You look at the world in a different perspective. The people that don't, same thing. They could literally have the same argument for 10 years straight and not even realize anything is wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Why? Their life is every day. Tochen mayim, they're grinding water every day. So, the best thing you can do for your kids, best thing you can do for yourself, be the most frum you possibly can. Davuk be'Hashem. Glued to Hashem. Hashem wants me to do it, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. The more you do it, the more you see good in your life. It's guaranteed. And like I said, example you could see in your own life. Look, people you know, 5 years ago, where were they? You'll see today, same thing. Maybe the bank account went up, maybe went down, everything else the same. Everything else the same. Nothing else changed. Same conversation, same misery, same problems, same everything. It either got worse or it stayed exactly the same. That's the only two options. Even if they made a lot more money, life got worse. And a lot of people made a lot of money in the last few years. And you see, the divorce rate went up with it. They made more money, and the lawyers made more money. It's unbelievable. Lawyers love markets that go up, even though they don't invest in the stock market. Why? People make more money, there's more divorce. All of a sudden, he's richer, so he thinks he needs to get his younger wife. Craziest thing in the world, but that's the world. So you'll do yourself a favor by becoming closer to Hashem. Anything else? Last question? We'll take from anybody. Chavod, last one. Okay. Oh, you didn't ask. Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you for your time.
Oh, it's good mitzvot.
And I just want to ask about Abraham when he was saying that he was creating
cows.
Yeah, I never heard that before. So he was able to create like.
Ken. There's a book called Sefer Yetzirah. Sefer Yetzirah is a book of creation, where Avraham Avinu knew how to create things, and there was other chachamim that were able to do it. This is not old, meaning that it started already with Adam Rishon, but there's even people from a couple of hundred years ago that were able to do things. The Rav Miprag was able to create a golem. Even the Gaon Mivilna said that he was able to create a golem at 8 years old. So there are certain people that have this special wisdom from the Torah that allows them to create things, to put life into things. And there's actually the Golem Prague is a very famous story. It's a well-known story even in the non-Jewish world, where if you go to Prague, there's actually a place over there, and it's a commemoration of that golem, of this thing that was created, that was protecting the city, and it's still there. You see it, and they talk about the whole story, and they actually even made movies after it that are obviously not the same, but like Frankenstein, the movie Frankenstein, that whole story for Frankenstein came from there. It's obviously he wasn't Frankenstein, but they improvised from there. Same thing with all superheroes that people see from TV. It's not a creation by Hollywood. It's an innovation of the Torah. If you look at the Yalkut Me'am Loez, at the end, in Bereshit, in a section where it talks about the Shvatim, the sons of Yaakov, and it goes into the section where it talks about the wars of the sons of Yaakov. They went to war with different nations, and each one of them had a superpower. Yehuda had a superpower where he would roar and would destroy buildings. And he'd have, every time he got angry, copper would come out of his chest and he would eat it. Very similar to Hulk. Hulk that's in the movies. Big, strong, can destroy things and roar. Then there was Naphtali. Naphtali was very fast. I think they made a comic called Flash. Flash is like Naphtali, and so on and so forth. So all of the characters that you see in movies today, usually it came from a Torah. And usually the writer is an old bachur that used to be a yeshiva bachur. He learned in yeshiva, he left the derech, went to Hollywood, and made it seem like he has a big mind. In reality, he just took the midrash and put Hollywood on it. That's all he did. And made millions of dollars and probably didn't even give maaser.
Okay. And those creations, what it would like to reproduce, or they created and then...
As far as reproduce, no, I don't believe they were produced. Reproduce comes from life, something that's living. So they weren't considered living. That's why he was able to eat milk and meat. It wasn't considered living.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's in a pasuk. There's I remember learning it years ago. It's in Parashat Vayera. It says in, you can look at the commentary on it. I'm sure you can find it in your midrashim and so on. In chapter 18, Yudchet, pasuk Chet. It says, "Vayikach chem'a v'chalav uben habakar asher asa, v'yiten lifneim v'hu omed aleim." So it says he took cream and milk and the calf which he made. What do you mean he made? How do you make a calf? He mamash made a calf. Mamash made a calf. That's what it says.
Yeah, when I read that before, that when he said that,
it looks like it's prepared, like he cooked it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. No, he didn't cook it. So that's mamash. The Chamim say mamash made it. There's other midrashim that say other things, but then you take all the pieces, you combine them, and you have one big diamond. But said Rabotai, I hope you enjoyed this shiur. Anyone that has any personal issues, want to talk to me, I'm willing to stay to talk to anybody. Usually I stay a little while for people, personal issues you want me to talk to you about. I'm more than happy to. The bag, again, anyone that didn't get a bag, please take a bag. There's a USB there. There's all types of shiurim, stuff like that. And of course, you could download the app. You could go on the YouTube channel, subscribe, get other people to subscribe, get people to learn more and more Torah. And really, Torah is no different than air. You need it every day. You need it every day. It's not once a week. It's not twice a week. It's every day. Baruch Hashem, we have enough shiurim for everybody to have it every single day, all day. So you have a lot of Torah out there available to you at the mamash press of a button. For free, no obligation. All the obligation is watch it and pay attention. That's the only obligation. That's it. But Bezrat Hashem, you guys continue to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue, Bezrat Hashem, working for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And get Am Yisrael. Get Am Yisrael to wake up. Get Am Yisrael to wake up, Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.
רגע.
אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא בישועות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל אשר יפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכו עוד לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הודיעו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה.
איפה הוא גר?
בפלורידה.
פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה.
מיאמי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית.
חזק אותו בשמי.
קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעבירו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.